On. Okay. Good evening. This is a quick sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to F1 Night 2017. Good evening Jottr, how are you this evening? Jottr! Hi there everyone, right, and welcome. Sorry we're running a bit late, we had a bit of an issue starting. Unfortunately the game decided it didn't want any spectators and it kicked both myself and Jottr out, but very kindly the drivers have restarted and okay, where is that? Okay, good. Sorry Jottr, I had you switched off there even though you told me to check it beforehand. Apologies.
Not a problem, hello there.
Right, and we are joined by Jottr this evening, and we have 15 runners this evening. As I say, this is F1 Tonight 2017, Season 3, and this is our penultimate race in Brazil. Next week we're going to be at Abu Dhabi, and we're in Q1. We are only going to be doing 2 qualifying sessions, as we do only have the 15 drivers, but clearly the drivers are out on Q1 just to get a little bit of practice out. So we'll see what happens with regards to that. So let's kick off by telling you where we are at this moment in time with the championship. And our championship leader is Stoner from Haas, who has come through the field in the past few races to dominate really through this championship and has taken the lead with 283 points. Second place is Bo with 252. Somebody has done the maths, and if Stoner were to come in 4th or higher, he will take the championship. What do you think about that, Jottr?
Yeah, absolutely cracking stuff. I think he came out of nowhere really, Stoner, didn't he? He's only recently come and taken the championship off Baz, and then Baz has been on a bit of a down spell recently, hasn't he? And his teammate Bo now taking a significant chunk after the last race, which was at, if I remember, Mexico?
Indeed, indeed, Mexico. And well, for those of you that haven't seen Mexico, what can we say about Stoner's domination for that race last week?
Well, to lap everyone out on the field, it takes some kind of achievement, but we were all at it when we were going up as he was coming up to take the final person in second place, and he just walked away with it. I mean, let's be honest, he's definitely deserved of the World Championship if he gets 4th place, that is.
Indeed, indeed, and we can see that some of the drivers are already quitting out because we'll be going through to Q2. As I said, we only have 15 drivers, so Q1 is obviously a bit of a non-goer because normally in Q1 we would go from the 20 down to 15, but a number of the drivers are taking advantage just to get out, get a little bit of a feel for the track before they actually go into Q2, and I think we're going to see a number of the drivers retiring at this point in time. But yeah, as I was saying, I mean, I was running through the championship there. You know, Stoner's in the lead with 283. Second place is Bo with 252. Third place is Bass with 241, and 4th is Gamble for McLaren with 144. Michael for Mercedes is currently in 5th place in the championship. He's not actually racing this evening. Martin BMW for Toro Rosso is 6th. Savage for McLaren is 7th. He is not running this evening, so we only have the one McLaren driver of Gamble. We only have the one Mercedes driver of Jerome. He's currently in 12th place. John, F1 for Red Bull, he's currently in 8th. Slacky for Renault is 9. Slim Shamey for Williams is 10. He is not racing this evening. Buddha for Renault is 11th place in the championship. He's not racing this evening due to illness. Jerome, as I mentioned, he's in 12th for Mercedes. Nicky for Force India is 13th in the championship. Grim, Stoner's teammate, or recent teammate, because he only joined the Haas team, I think it was about 3 or 4 races ago. God, I'm trying to think when it was actually. I think it was Singapore.
I believe it was Malaysia, wasn't it?
Was it Malaysia? I knew it was one of the Far East ones, yeah. So he's currently in 14th place. Phenomenon for Sauber is in 15th. Quick shout out to Phenomenon. He unfortunately, I believe he said last week in Mexico, I was saying that his teammate Boyke runs without any of the assists, but it is actually Phenomenon. So Phenomenon is racing, but he raced with no assists whatsoever. Then we have Peter for Williams. He's currently 16th place in the championship. Then we have Zwoof for Red Bull. He's 17th in the championship. Boyke for Sauber, who I just mentioned, is not racing this evening. He's in 18th place. Elfren for Force India is in 19th. And Miguel for Toro Rosso is currently in 20th place. So the drivers are all retiring from this session, so we'll be going into Q2. Let's have a little chat about the track itself. Interlagos, it's a challenging track, isn't it, Jottr?
Yeah, for sure. It's one that's very intense on tyres, specifically. Well, I'm looking forward to it, actually, in the 2018 season in real life, actually. But we're a long way from that. But we are here tonight for F1 Tonight at Interlagos. Very much a low downforce track. For my liking, especially when you want to go down the sweeping downhill of turn 1 into turn 2, and then obviously that nice left-hander down to the DRS straight on turn 3. Very interesting and very tight-knit track, and surprisingly enough, a short track as well. You can easily get into the 110s if you're fast enough. So, going to be interesting to see how the drivers get out there, but with super soft and medium tyres available, it's definitely, I'm expecting some cracking lap times.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen lap times on trials of the sort of 108 type mark. I don't think I've seen a 107 with any of the... But yeah, I mean, that first turn into the Senna S, that is his nickname, which is turn 1 and 2, very, very tricky, because the actual angles, I'm just trying to think what the right terminology is, but the actual angles of the corners are quite early when you're turning into them, especially on that Senna S.
Yeah,
so
very cute.
What happens is the apex of the corner is actually earlier than you would normally expect on a corner, and it totally throws off the car. So you've got to have the car very, very well balanced indeed to account for that effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing for sure about the Senna S, especially heading into the top half of turn 1, one thing in my experience anyway, for sure, is that you've got to make sure you hit that corner absolutely perfectly, because turn 1 is essentially the make or breaker for any lap. I mean, especially if you can hit the apex absolutely spot on, with these new up-to-date vehicles with the highest downforce possible, you can really, really just peg it and keep that foot flat to the floor as you go through number 2 into the long sweeping left-hander of 3 down to the Retta Opasta, the long straight heading into 4. So I think it is very much the make or breaker, and I'm expecting the drivers with the slightly higher downforce setup than the other drivers to be doing relatively well in sector 1. But we are seeing John F1 tonight, who I've been absolutely raving about. He's absolutely cracking driver, and actually quite underrated, I think, within F1 tonight. Big shout out, by the way, to Phenomenon in the Sauber. He dropped me a message at the end of the last race at Mexico, saying that he's going to be taking forward my advice from the commentaries box whenever there's any safety cars or anything like that. He's going to consider possible different tyre options, because I think he realised that it could potentially be a good opportunity for him to get some fresh set of tyres on.
Yeah, indeed, that's quite an amusing one, because last week at Mexico you were basically, I'm surprised he didn't hear you, because you were shouting that loud.
I was
giving
screaming
him advice as to what the hell to do, and it was a great shame, because we could understand what he was doing by sticking to
Yeah, absolutely.
He's obviously his thoughts with regards to his race. Bear with us all. Don't worry. We'll check the pause stream where we have a little bit of F1 intro. The reason we do that is unfortunately because during it and actually for YouTube to block. So I'm just going to pause for a second for that to come through. So stick with us. It'll be a few seconds. There we go, and we are back again. So yeah, as you're saying, it's very, very difficult, obviously, and he was trying to stick to. Unfortunately, because he'd had that issue during the race, it hadn't really worked out for him, and it wasn't the way to go, really, was it? He had to adapt.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. He had to adapt for this. Obviously the track conditions change over time, obviously, as well as the weather. There's obviously the issues with track speeds as well. When a virtual safety car comes out, for sure, if you're near the pits, get yourself in, get a new set of tyres on, because you've got an opportunity to be able to benefit from basically a free pit stop. And the issue was, is that I appreciate he was trying to stick to as close to a one-stop or maybe even a two-stop strategy as possible. But in doing so, he sacrificed a fresher set of tyres, and therefore the whole field around significantly faster. And me, I love an underdog. I really love the underdogs. I love them when they're in the battle, for the top 5, and I really felt Phenomenon could have benefited from that. And unfortunately, in the end, because of that mistake, he didn't actually get into the top 10 and score a single point. So it's a real shame, but hopefully with that experience, he'll take it forward into Brazil, and if it happens again, you never know, he could be in there and he could be battling for points.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think as you rightly say, he is a great driver, and especially when you take into account, as I've mentioned before, and I'll mention again, he does not run with any assists. Well, here we are in Q2. We've got 13.5 minutes. Stoner is the first out, and I'm not too sure if he's got off track limits there because it's not showing him as being in an out lap. So I think he's actually starting his fast lap now. Stoner is currently our championship leader with Haas. So let's see how he's getting on. So he's just coming through the Senna S now. And round turn 3. Curva do Sol, which is the sun corner. For those of you unaware, my background is I'm actually Portuguese, even though I sound incredibly English, so I can actually read the names of the corners, and I'll try and translate them as best as I can as we go through the race, just to make it a little bit more interesting for you, or less interesting, depending upon your viewpoint, I guess. So he's just coming down now to the, where are we? Coming up again now, and this is all very tricky with regards to these corners. So he's coming round sector 2. Now, sector 3. God, it is fast, this track. I forget how fast it is actually. Yep. Coming onto the start-finish straight now. I don't know if he's going to be setting a time here. Let's have a look what he does. And he does. Oh, look at that blinding time. 109.9.
Yeah, 109s. That's
from
fast
Stoner.
for Q2 times. Smooth getting in there with a 111.
Second out has just set a 111.04 in the Red Bull. Let's just watch Bo. Miguel set a 111.9. Martin set a 110.6. Bo just going to be coming over the line shortly for Ferrari, and he set a 110.3. Wow, these guys, yeah. I'm
he's looking
amazed.
for it.
Bass is just coming out now. Well, Stoner's certainly set the level there, 109.9. Q2. That's some
interesting.
Going. Oh, dearie me! And Bass has come off the track straight into the tyre wall.
Lost all his front wing.
Pretty much wiped out his. Yep, he's completely wiped out his front wing, and that was actually dropping down from turn 6 into 7. He completely lost it. He's just going round turns 8 and 9 Pinheiro, which is the Pines.
Just taking a
And
smidge look at the moment. Sorry, at Grim F1 tonight at the moment in the house. Now, he and Nicky are both on medium tyres for this Q2 session, which is surprising because I wouldn't usually go on a set of mediums from the start because the grip levels, especially around this track, are usually pretty poor. So I wouldn't really start on medium tyres for the grid. Unless Grim, of course, is purposely sandbagging, so he has a choice of tyres from the start. But I can't imagine him doing that, especially around a track of the calibre of Interlagos. So it'll be interesting to see how everything comes out. But Stoner in the lead at the moment.
well, yeah, it's certainly interesting at the end of that. Now, just for a little weather report, it's looking dry. However, we do have the possibility of rain towards the end of the race itself. So we do have dry qualifying. We have a dry for the majority of the race, or certainly it looks dry, but there is a strong possibility of rain at the end of this race, or towards the end of this race.
Mediums might be a good choice then. Maybe they're wanting to go into a set of mediums and hope that the rain comes as early as possible. We know what Brazil's like for wet weather conditions. When it comes, it absolutely pours. So maybe, just maybe, the medium tyres could go to a certain level of the laps where they could possibly get just a set of intermediates and have relatively good lap times and significantly faster than significantly worn soft and super soft tyres. So what they lose on slower lap times they may gain in having just one pit stop, but I'm not too sure about the medium start.
Well, indeed, and I mean, normally this would be really at least a two-stop race, wouldn't it?
You could probably do a two-stop. You can possibly do a one-stop if you do want to risk the medium tyres. But like I said, with the lower downforce setup, you are putting a lot more stress on the tyres. This is why I'm a bit apprehensive about the use of medium tyres at the start, because naturally the grip is quite poor. And when you're using the lowest grippy tyre on a track, it can really have a detrimental effect in your race.
Grim is actually pitting at this moment in time. And in the drop zone at this moment in time, we have Jerome with a 112. For Mercedes, John for Williams with a 112.7. Grim just come in with a 112.8. Still to come out, well, although he did come out, but he didn't set a time. His Bass, he's just coming out now because he wiped out his front wing on turn 6. So Bass is coming out now. So let's run with Bass as he goes on his out lap. So at this moment in time, drop zone, we're looking at 111.9. So I would suspect really we're going to need to be looking in the, I would say it's probably going to be the low 111s or the high 110s. Slacky just said a 110.9 for Renault.
I was going to say a big shout out actually to Nicky for being able to do a 111.2 on a set of medium tyres. It's an absolutely blistering lap, but if the majority of the field are going to be doing super soft runs, I wouldn't be so sure if the medium tyre with a 111.2 is going to be fast enough, especially with Miguel, who's only, what, 4 thousandths of a second behind him in 10th. So keep an eye out, we'll have to see what happens.
Indeed, and that just reminded me to actually get the tyre selection up, and let's have a quick look at this, because Stoner set at 109 on a set of super softs, but interestingly, Bo set that 110.3, so only 4/10 off Stoner's time on a set of softs.
Could be a different interesting strategy, might be taking into consideration the weather. You know, it's typically known that the harder tyre is usually pretty good in wet weather conditions, so I'd think, taken into weather conditions, Stoner's probably got the better strategy. But you never know, obviously weather conditions are predicted, doesn't necessarily mean it will happen.
Absolutely, it's not gospel, and it could be that it might happen at the end of the race, or it might happen, you know, 15 laps before the end of the race. We're not too sure, but rain is forecast, so we'll have to keep our eyes open for that one. And we're just running with Bass, who has yet to set a time. He's actually going on his fast lap now, so he's just coming down. Yep. Round turn 12 now, so he's in sector 3, final sector, turn 13, and then we've got the subida dos boxes, which is the climb of the boxes, approaching the start-finish straight as he comes over the line. Oh, and he goes into third place. Lovely job there with a 110.343. So he's actually only 3/100ths off the time of his teammate, who set a 1:10.313.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting one. Just taking a quick look at Nicky at the moment. I think he's responding. He's obviously on the medium tyres with the 1:11.222, but looking at that drop zone, especially with Miguel on the super soft tyres, 0.004 of a second on 2 steps significantly softer tyres. He's now on a set of soft tyres doing a hot lap, so I think it's a pretty good call from the Force India driver.
Yeah, and again, shout out to Nicky. Nicky is new to F1 for this season, and he has been doing a great job really in that Force India. Really been bringing in some great, he's done some great qualifications. He's done some great races as well, but it hasn't always worked out in his favour in the races, but he has placed very, very well in a number of races and actually got a podium as well in the States.
Yeah, I mean, I think I appreciate the sort of difficulty of joining a league so late on and being fresh to a league, but he's come in there, he's come straight into 8th place on a set of soft tyres, only 2/10 behind Martin, who's obviously looking to take advantage from the fact that Michael is not racing today. 15 points, a 3rd place would see him jump him today, so to the fact that he's beating the pace of drivers who are looking to benefit from drivers not being here today, I think it really does show the quality of the new drivers that are popping into F1 tonight. So you know, I've got a lot of respect for Nicky. I think he's doing a cracking job on the soft tyres. Had a brave spell going on the mediums, but for sure the soft spell should see him through.
Absolutely, totally agree with that. And he's jumped up to 8th place now with that 1:10.7. So in the drop zone, we now have Gamble for McLaren with a 1:11.0. Jerome for Mercedes, 1:11.1. Miguel F1 for Toro Rosso, 1:11.2. Grimm for Haas with a 1:12.1. Peter yet to set a time, but it looks like he's retired from the session, and I think he'll be looking to start at the back anyway, so it's only between those 4 at this moment in time. But it's looking pretty close, certainly. Wow, I'm just looking at this time. I mean, John's in 4th place, he's got a 1:10.5. Then we've got Zwoof's 5th, 1:10.5. Elfren 6, 1:10.5. Martin 7, 1:10.5. So it's still anyone's game, really. We've got 3 minutes to go, but there is certainly the possibility of those drivers that in the drop of moving up, because all they really need to do is get, you know, another 5/10, 6/10, and they'll suddenly find themselves towards the front of that pack and in Q2.
Yeah, for sure. I'm taking a look at the moment at some lap times coming in, obviously, from UF Gamble. I'm expecting some big things. He had the week off, didn't he, for Mexico? McLaren not racing at all, actually, in Mexico, so I want to see a big response with sort of McLaren coming back into the session. 1:11.0 in 11th place at the moment of the set of softs. He should really be touching the 1:10s in the softs with Gamble's pace, so I should imagine he might go out again on the set of softs if he really wants to stick to his strategy. Otherwise, he might have to take a risk and go on a set of super softs to get himself through, but at the moment looking pretty close.
Indeed, and Gamble coming out now just behind
Michael's
Elfren.
crashed out.
Elfren's currently in
P6.
P6.
Miguel, sorry, whatever you pronounce his name,
Miguel,
I think Toro Rosso, he has
yeah,
crashed.
Miguel's crashed out.
Yeah.
And that looks like he was coming uphill there from turn 10. Sorry, not turn 10, turn 9 into turn 10. So he's crashed out there. So he is definitely in the drop zone, probably P13. We're running with Grimm, Haas teammate at this moment in time. And we're seeing John's doing a great job there. You were talking about John earlier, and he's haven't seen John up this high for quite a while. So good to see that he's finding his mojo again.
I have a lot of respect for John. I think he's a very underrated driver within F1 tonight, and I think if he were to be a bit more consistent with his strategy calls and be able to get out there and be a bit more of a consistent racer without making mistakes, he could really be fighting for places that Martin could be fighting for, maybe even Bo and Baz as well. So keep an eye out on John next season, because I think he could genuinely be up there. No surprise, by the way, Gamble on a set of super soft tyres and going out again to do another hot lap.
And let's see, so Gamble is out. Let's watch him now. I believe he is on his fast lap now, as he's coming down the Reto Aposta, which is the long straight towards turn 4. Ooh, hitting the side there. Turn 4 rounds, turn 5.
Ooh, Swoof's lost it at 4.
Zwoof.
Oh no, sorry, it was Elfren.
Elfren, I was about to say, yeah. Gamble's looking pretty tight as he comes round turn 8. 9, up to that hairpin, almost a 10. Round. Now downhill 11, and this track is very undulating, up and down, up and down. There's a lot of climbs and a lot of drops.
Slacky nearly losing it into 1, but I just want to compliment him. He did a fantastic lap with a 10.5, so he should be through. Just want to make note though, look how close it is between P4 and P8. It's 5.37 to 5.87, so there's only
Gamble just jumps up into P9. Oh. So that has now pushed out Phenomenon into P11.
Don't count out Jerome. Don't count out Jerome. Grimm spun it to the final corner, so he will be starting P14, unfortunately. Can't be the same for the Haas driver, though. The other Haas driver, Stoner, who's managed to top Q2. But keep an eye on Jerome. He's still on a fast lap, and he's still using Max, so he's wanting to do another one. So it might not just be over just yet. Keep an eye out.
I totally agree. I think there could be a lot of changes still happening with regards to this. Jerome's still out there. He's certainly got the opportunity to...
It's got to try and find 10.7. Might look it. He's done it.
Oh, look at that. Pushes Gamble out. Well, not Gamble, sorry, Nicky out, who was in P10.
Between fifth, I'm sorry,
that's what I'm saying.
Fifth
look at it. I mean, they're all on 110.5.
536, 537, 556, 561, 587.
These are hundreds and thousands of a second difference between these drivers.
Martin and John separated by 1,000th of a second. Close margins.
Yeah. I mean, the very, very close margins indeed. So, I think we have it there. And going into Q3 will be Stoner, Bo, Bass, Swoof, Martin, John, Elfren, Jerome, Slacky and Gamble. In 11th place will be Nicky for Force India. 12th place will be Phenomena for Sauber. 13th will be Miguel for Toro Rosso. Grimm will be 14th for Haas, and bringing up 15th will be Peter for Williams. So we'll shortly be going into Q2, as I did earlier. I will be pausing the stream shortly, but I'd advise you when that'll be. It'll only be for a few seconds while we have the F1 flash come up between sessions.
Oh, sorry, I've just noticed. 1,000th of a second separating the drop zone. Nicky only losing out by 7.21 and Gamble on 7.20. So it's not just close margins sort of at the top, it's close margins at the bottom as well. Nicky will be absolutely gutted to be losing out by 1,000th.
It's all the way through, and the thing about this is, this to me tells a lot, because that says to me that this is going to be a very, very close fought race.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I'll be honest with you. I'm expecting, based on what I'm seeing Q2 times anyway, unless it just so happens every other driver is sandbagging, Stoner is looking like he is in certain chance to possibly win this championship with, what was it, a 10th? Maybe a bit more, separating him and Bo. What was it now? 3 tenths. Yeah. Wow.
So it was only four tenths basically separating the two of them there. Very little in it indeed. So there we have it. And just quickly run through. Peter for Williams, Grimm for Haas, Miguel for Toro Rosso, Phenomena for Sauber, and Nicky for Force India in the drop zone. And our top 10 drivers going into Q3 are just there. I'm Paul, so bear with us a second. And okay, we are back. Just sorry for that, everyone. F1 Tonight 2017 Season 3. And we are back for Q3. And in Q3, we have Zwoof for Red Bull, Bo for Ferrari, Bass, his teammate for Ferrari. And it looks like they are nearly first out. Gamble for McLaren, Stoner for Haas was the first out. Stoner currently our champion. Slacky for Renault, Elfrans for Force India, John for Red Bull, Jerome for Mercedes, and Martin for Toro Rosso. We are currently running with Stoner, our championship leader, on his outlap. And we've seen an impressive time for him in Q2, a 109.393, just under 4 tenths away from his rival at Ferrari. What do you think we're going to see for this Q?
Stoner fastest. I think he'll be fastest by at least 2 tenths. He's going to be the first person to settle up as well, so he'll be the first person and probably the last person to be able to get out there as well, because he's certainly going to be putting in the blistering times for people to see. Wouldn't underestimate Bo or Baz, because I think they will come with their Ferraris and produce something. They may work as a team as well, possibly get some slipstream off each other, because I noticed that they both came out together.
Yeah.
Although I'm a bit shocked with Gamble only just sneaking in by a thousandth of a second into Q3, so hopefully he's going to be able to do well in this session. Hopefully it was just a sandbagging, because if it is him being a bit down in the rankings, then it looks like McLaren may not be in for a fantastic race.
Well, they certainly could do with the points. I mean, at this moment in time, Gamble is in 4th place in the championship with 144, and I think that position is pretty safe as it stands. I mean, Michael in Mercedes isn't running this evening. That's his next closest rival, 20 points behind him. But Martin BMW in the Toro Rosso is running, and
this
he's
is going to be
on
quick.
110.
9.5 again, brilliant work.
Look at this. So he doesn't set as fast a time as he did in Q2. He's a couple of tenths off that time.
He did go a little bit wide coming through 4, so he might have another go on the next run.
Pretty much the same as he was in Q2. He set a 110.4. Bass just set a 109.7. So he has
9.4, there it is.
And 109.4 from Bo. So Bo takes provisional pole position.
Stoner did go a little bit wide. Stoner did go a little bit wide. Yeah, Stoner did go a little bit wide through 4, so I think he'll probably want to have another go at that on the next run. Got a bit of time to wait, maybe adjust his front wing balance if it's a bit of an issue, but based on what I'm seeing so far, alright, it may be a bit closer than I first anticipated.
I think it is. I would never ever underestimate the Ferrari drivers in any way, shape or form. They were totally dominated last week, but I don't think Mexico was a great race for them anyway. We saw both Bo and Bass suffer from collisions during the race, which pretty much put them out of kilter as well, and that was pretty much the same for the US Grand Prix in Texas there. So I think they've just had a little bit of misfortune, but that said, that doesn't take it away from Stoner. Stoner has really been putting in some impressive races of recent, so certainly a well-deserved championship lead at this moment in time.
Interesting to see what Bo's doing. He's still going around on the same set of super softs. I'd have a look at possibly popping in and get a new set of super softs on wait out. Maybe talk with his teammate Baz as well, because if Bo is looking the more favourable, potentially could do a little bit of team tactics and potentially give each driver a little bit of slipstream coming up onto the final turn. Might be able to beat Stoner's time. That's if Stoner doesn't make another mistake on the final turn, so we'll just have to see what happens, but so far looking pretty close.
It is, and it's pretty much what we were expecting. We saw some amazing QT times with literally thousandths of a second between the drivers. I don't think I've seen a race where it's been so close in the qualification, to be fair. I certainly don't expect it to be any less in this Q3.
Just a comment coming in, by the way, from Sander, saying, "Hi all, Sander here. Can't wait for the next race in Brazil. Shall be fantastic again. Last week was incredible."
Well, there you go. And thank you very much, Xander. Haven't heard from you for a while, so good to know
it's gone
you're
even
watching. And look at
faster,
this, Bo said a
9.3.
109.3. So Bo
He means business.
He means business, definitely. Definitely. Stoner's still in the pits, so I don't know whether he's just holding out to see what
You've got to bear in mind, Stoner,
does.
as much as Stoner might be at this, it might be seen as an opportunity for him to get out there and win the championship. Bo still has the right to win it himself. You know, he's still within boundaries. All Baz needs to do, out-qualify Stoner, and if Bo is looking the more favourable for the championship and they both work together, because we know that obviously they're both very good friends, you never know, there could be a bit of team tactics in play. Baz put him on a different strategy or slightly slower strategy and keep Stoner back. You never know, it could be Bo still in it to win it to the final race.
Well, I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough one to call because, you know, as I mentioned earlier, all Stoner needs to do is place 4th or higher to win the championship outright here in Brazil. Even if he does come further down the field, that still gives him the opportunity in Abu Dhabi to take the championship. And you know, I've got to say, he's definitely the championship favourite as it stands at this moment in time. But anything can happen, as we know.
Of course, yeah.
You know, if he were to crash out or have any engine issues or anything like that, then it would really mix things up, and then we'd be going to the wire Abu Dhabi, and that would really make it interesting.
Yeah, it'd make it very interesting. I'm just taking a look at the moment, and I'm just trying to think about it, because if Bo and Baz, both Ferrari, do actually work together on this, they could, theoretically, if Stoner's on the same strategy as Bo, Baz can go on an alternate strategy, because as I'm pretty sure Baz is on a set of softs, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's on a set of, well, he's not on a set of softs. He's actually on a set of super softs at this
He's
moment.
on a set of super softs, so it's Bo that's on the other set of tyres. So the only other option is really is Baz out-qualify Stoner, get in there, and essentially try and keep Stoner back as far as possible, because at the end of it, if Baz wants to get in there and help his teammate, potentially, Bo could take an advantage and a leap ahead and avoid losing out on this championship, because like I said, it's still to play for. Stoner might have got a big advantage, like I said, 4th place above will win it, but like I said, it's still all to play for, and teammates could end up being quite handy here.
Indeed, it still could be anyone's, and you know, as much as in real world F1, it applies also in esports F1. Anything can happen. I know it is the commentators' normal term for F1, but it is so true. Anything really can happen.
Hopefully Slacky will be able to rejoin the session. I noted at the bottom of the screen he did leave the session. Stoner went even faster, 9.2 as well, doing a cracking job.
We're just watching Bass now as he finishes his fast lap. Look at this, 109.3.
It's thousandth of a second
so
separating him and his
responded
teammate.
with a 109.2. We've got Bass with a 109.326 and Bo, his teammate, with a 109.327. That is 1,000th of a second between teammates. That is just unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, it shows you obviously the quality between the two Ferrari drivers are very similar value in it, although the table also suggests that as well. It's both 2nd and 3rd respectively, and they're not there by accident.
Absolutely, but you know, Stoner has pipped him. He's put in that 109.2. He's 1/10, literally 1/10 off Bass's time, and Bass is out there and he's looking to respond. They've only got 2.5 minutes to go, so they've got a couple of laps, 3 laps possibly, to make that response. So let's see. I don't know if this is Bass's flying lap. I suspect
Baz, it is.
It is.
It is. It's going fast. This is fast. Oh no, it's not actually. It's 10.0. It's slower. Interesting. As Elfrin has crashed. He's crashed on the final corner actually. He's lost his front right tyre. So he's out to the Q3 session with 11.3.
So Elfrin's is out. He is currently P9. Zwoof hasn't actually come out onto the trackers yet, so I don't know whether he will.
Looking at Gamble at the moment.
There you have it.
Looking at Gamble at the moment, he's going to be really wanted to get up the field at the moment. He's on a 10.8 at the moment. I can think he can easily get into the mid-10s, 10.5. So he's definitely got to aim for sort of Martin's time, maybe even Jerome's time. if he wants to try and take an advantage into the race. We know he's very, very consistent with his race pace. Although he may not be fast in qualifying, it might be a completely different story when it comes to the race. So keep an eye out on the McLaren.
Indeed, never discount McLaren. Gamble and Savage. We haven't got Savage with us this evening, unfortunately, but we do have Gamble. They are quality drivers. They can be a bit unpredictable. They are quite aggressive, McLaren, as a team, and sometimes you do question their on-track behaviour and tactics, but you can't take it away from them. They
think
are
this is
fast.
the fastest Baz is going to be able to go now. I don't think he's going to be able to get any faster than his 9.326. Can't be the same that's said about Bo, though. He's still on a fast lap as Stoner has retired from the session. He's happy with a 2.21. So we'll have to see what happens with Bo. He's coming up to the line. Will he beat 9.2? Will he beat 9.2? He does!
Ooh, does! Look at that! 109.0. He doesn't just carve a little bit off it. He's taken 2/10 out of that time from Stoner and 3/10 out of his teammate. I think Stoner's going to rue jumping out of the session, but I don't think he could have done much more anyway, to be fair.
He can't really do a lot. He was definitely struggling around the middle sector. I think he was losing the rear end quite a bit. Bo will be very happy to get prospective pole position. I mean, anything could happen. Obviously, we're looking at Baz at the moment. He is actually faster in sector 2 by a couple of hundredths, so he might be able to nudge off a few tenths and possibly actually take Stoner, which is the best possible scenario for Bo. And no,
he's coming into the pit.
No, that's it.
He's coming into the pits. So I think that's pretty much it. We do have Bo is still out there, but he's not going to be setting any fast times. He's happy with that. Let's go with Martin. Martin is just coming round now. I don't know if he's on a flying lap.
Yes, he is. He's lost 2/10 in sector 2. Sorry, gained 2/10 rather. He's up.
Yes, look at this, and he jumps up to P6.
Beating Jerome,
nice,
and Gamble's out of fuel
Martin.
As well. So although
Gamble is out,
wouldn't be so sure with the 10.8. I think he'll be a bit disappointed with that. He can do better.
I think he's a little bit disappointed himself with that one. But interestingly enough, we've got Elfrans up there. Now, Elfrans for Force India, we've spoken about his teammate Nicky. Unfortunately, he fell out in Q2. But Elfrans, good shout out to him to get into Q3. We don't very often see him up there, so it's nice to have seen him up there, and he takes P9.
Tell you what, this start is going to be the most crucial start, I think, in the entirety of F1 tonight in Season 3. I'm just taking a look at the moment. Obviously, only a tenth separating Baz and Stoner. Baz gets a good start and Stoner gets a weaker start. Baz could really, really hold back Stoner and give Bo a significant advantage on the harder compound of tyre. So if Baz and Bo are working as teammates and Baz gets a good start over Stoner, well, if Stoner loses time on the softer tyre, Bo can take a massive advantage from that. Great time of a 109.0 from him.
Indeed, and it's going to be interesting to see whether team tactics will come into play and whether Bass will indeed back up his teammate and try and hold up Stoner if he possibly can. I mean, at this moment in time, the front row is going to be Bo in P1, Stoner in P2, and Bass will be P3. Advantage obviously to the left hand side going into that centre S, isn't it? Because that's the thing we've got to bear in mind.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say the advantage is on the inside, to be honest with you, because with it such an acute angle, if you're on the left hand side you're having to brake a lot early, and if you're on the right hand side you can take that outside line and really swooping it into the sort of left and then into the right. So I think it's very much...
You've got to be a lot slower on that first turn. That's the thing. On that,
yeah,
on the
and when you're on the
you've
inside,
got to have to be...
when you're on the inside at an acute angle, you've got a significant problem with speed. So I think anyone on the left-hand side is actually more at a disadvantage. That's Stoner, that's John, that's Martin, that's Gamble, and that's Swoof. They're all going to be on the left-hand side of this grid. So I wouldn't be so sure if being on the left-hand side is certainly an advantage. But I think for sure with Bo and Baz on the right-hand side, heading into turn 1, turn 2, this could be mighty close.
It could be very, very close indeed. And this is going to be, I think, a lot is going to depend on this start. So there you have it. First place will be Ferrari, Bo. Alongside him will be Stoner for Haas. Second row will be Bass for Ferrari. Alongside him will be John for Red Bull, and a great shout out to John. Fantastic result for him on that qualification. Third row will be Slacky for Renault. Alongside him will be Martin from Toro Rosso. Fourth row will be Jerome for Mercedes. Alongside him will be Gamble for McLaren. And finally will be Elfrins for Force India. And alongside him will be Zwoof for Red Bull. Just going to pause. We go into the start of this race.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening and welcome back everybody to F1 Tonight 2017 Season 3, and we are at Interlagos in Brazil, and this we are expecting to be one hell of a race. So we're just shortly going to go into the formation lap and quickly run through our runners and riders. Just a bit of sound there, but there we go. So we've got Bo for Ferrari. He is taking pole position. Alongside him will be Stoner, our current championship leader for Haas. Behind them will be Bass for Ferrari. Alongside him will be John for Red Bull. Great to see John up there in the second row. Then we had a third row, Slacky for Renault. Alongside him will be Martin for Toro Rosso. Then we have Jerome in 7th place for Mercedes. Alongside him will be Gamble for McLaren. Keep an eye on Gamble. He's going to be pushing through that field. 9th place we have Elfren for Force India. Alongside him will be his teammate Nicky from Force India. Then we have Phenomenon from Sauber. He will be P11. Miguel for Toro Rosso will be P12. Grim for Haas will be P13, and alongside him will be Peter for Williams in P14. And we've lost Zwoof, haven't we? Zwoof was in P10.
Yeah, he seems to have disappeared. I think there may have been some kind of glitch. I wonder if F1 Tonight are going to be able to restart the race just for him. Would be a shame for him to be missing out on this, considering he managed to get through into Q3. So it's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, he seems to have dropped out. Not too sure what's happened with that, but I don't know what's going to happen. We'll keep an eye on that. So they're coming up now on the formation lap. Bo is on his grid spot. Peter is just taking up his grid spot now. Okay, and they're all ready to go. So here we are, 3, 4, 5, and they're off on the start of the F1 Tonight 2017 Season 3 Interlagos, and you could see Gamble immediately moving out there. But as we go into the first centre S, nice and easy for the drivers
John
through
F1
there.
Tonight crashing into the rear.
Oh, John goes off the track, but he's back on. He maintains his 4th place, but he's being pushed by Slacky. Slacky is likely to be overtaking him, but the first 3 maintain their positions. Bo, 1st place. Stoner close in behind him.
Great exit.
And Bass close in behind Stoner. This is very, very close to those top 3. Slacky has taken 4th place from Red Bull, John. But also Jerome has moved up as well into 5th place. John's dropped down into 6th. Martin is currently 7th. Gamble is 8th. Elfrens is 9. Phenomenon 10. Nicky 11. Grim is 12. Miguel 13. Peter is 14. And we're with the first 3 drivers here. They're nice and close. Slacky 2 seconds off the back of Bass at this moment in time, but only 6
Elfrens lost it. Elfrens lost it. He lost it going into turn number 10, I believe, and he's gone down to the back of the grid.
Oh, Elfrens dropped right down there.
Bit of a shame for Baz, by the way, because he had a bit of an instance, I think, with John going into turn number 2. His front wing, John's, that is, colliding into the rear of Baz, which meant he lost traction going into 2, so he lost any ground that he did gain from the start on Stoner has now disappeared. And bear in mind, both Ferraris are on the same strategy, a set of softs on my screen.
Indeed, I'm just having a look at that now. And that is interesting because both the Ferraris are on softs.
Well, you think that Baz really needed to get a good start against Stoner, get in front of him and essentially keep Stoner back and burn through those super softs, because then the alternate strategy that he had would be completely useless. So really Baz was should have done, and what could have done, was try and get ahead of Stoner from the start. However, it's still to play for with 69 laps to go.
Yes, indeed. We are only on lap 1 to lap 2, coming into lap 3 now, so it's still anyone's. But advantage Stoner on those super softs, really, isn't it?
Indeed. Yeah, indeed. I think he's going to be able to get round Bo as well when the DRS is enabled at the start-finish straight. I'm sorry, but I think Stoner might have got a significant advantage over the Ferraris here.
Stoner's set the fastest lap so far. Okay, it is only the beginning of the race, but it does tell. And look at him, he's all over the back of that Ferrari there as they're coming round turn 3 onto the retroposte of the long straight leading down to turn 4.
I know it's only lap 3, but
he's
looking for
definitely
something
take
there.
him on the next DRS.
Mikael's gone. Mikael's out. He's
Mikael
crashed
is out.
into turn number 1, and it's a bit of a shunt as well. Wow.
Oh, wow! Mikael wipes out his front right on the centre S, and Miguel is out on lap 3. So Miguel for Toro Rosso out on lap 3 on the centre S.
I'm just taking a look at Stoner at the moment. He's definitely looking like the faster car than Bo, and I'm sorry, it's not just, I don't think it's just advantage Stoner. I think this might just be, well, potentially season over unless something major happens, such as, well, what I'm experiencing now, severe internet lag.
Not looking too bad at this moment in time, but
here he goes on the outside,
making the move.
Yeah, gonna do a good job at defending this, Bo, on the harder compound tyre.
But he's going to have to, oh, and Stoner goes off track there.
Yeah,
that'll be 3-second time penalty.
And trying to avoid Bo that because of the traction.
He does have the DRS, but I don't think he's going to make it stick into turn 4. That's a shame because he was looking pretty good there.
No, I think there's going to be a time before Stoner just gets round him. I think it will be at the next DRS straight. Keep a firm eye on that battle because I think this may be just Stoner's first place to take.
Well, bear in mind, we do have another DRS zone, the second DRS zone, which is as they just before they hit turn 15. The activation point is just after turn 13, but clearly Stoner's not going to have any problem there because he's only 0.2 of a second off the back of this Ferrari.
You can clearly see there's a lack of traction on the back of Bo at the moment, and as he comes out you can see that rear end just stepping out every time he plants the floor. And I'm not being funny, but I think if the soft runners are struggling at the moment, how are the medium runners doing at the moment in the form of Grimm and John F1 and Elfren, who are now on a new set of mediums, as the overtake is looking like it might happen.
Yeah.
Around the outside, onto the inside of 2.
Going into the centre S now. He's got the right hand side, he's got the advantage. Oh, he's got it, has he got it? And Bo goes off track there.
Bo's got DRS though. Bo's got DRS. Back? Yeah, he's got DRS. Take that last minute of slipstream going on to the inside of 4.
Whoa, look at
well
this.
held.
This is real wheel-to-wheel action. Ooh, and he's pushed.
That's a bit of a tap there.
Stoner off into turn 4 there.
Keep an eye out on Baz. He's just suddenly gained traction.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was necessary on purpose. I think it's just why they're racing so close.
Yeah, nothing malicious. Nothing malicious in that. Obviously, going through 4, it's very close. I'm just taking a look at the moment at Baz. Stoner going through 4, 5 into 6. I'm not being funny, but he looked just a little bit apprehensive. He looked a bit shook, like, oh, he's gone straight for it again. So Baz has gained a lot of time on. He's losing it again, but Stoner quite easily shook by the looks of things, going into 6, going quite wide. So yeah, it's looking like a close battle. DRS open, but I can't imagine he's going to get around Bo that easily.
Well, you know, we have been watching Stoner in the past few races really come through the field, but we haven't really seen him as such in really close action. He's tended to be quite dominant, especially in overtaking and speed.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time where we've seen him under quite a bit of pressure.
First let of pressure, yeah, because the thing is now, bear in mind, obviously, Bo is now on the harder compound of tyre. They will last longer than Stoner's Super Soft. The longer that Stoner is behind Bo, the more those Super Softs are going to be burnt out. Before long, those softs on Bo's car will be the faster tyre. So Stoner really needs to get around Bo as quick as possible. And at this moment in time, Bo is not making it easy. Bo's got he's got a championship to battle for himself, hasn't he?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I don't think he is going to make it easy for him. And certainly when I commentated on this race in Season 2, it was a very close fought race between Bo and Baz.
Exit.
But there was no love lost between them. And I think Bo really likes this track. I think this is quite a favourite track of his. So I think he feels quite comfortable around here.
Great exit out of turn 12, Zhao, and then he's looking around the outside, possibly onto the inside of 12 too.
And again through the centre S, they're almost wheel to wheel there.
Amazing stuff from Bo.
That backing off. He doesn't really want to push it too hard. He doesn't feel confident enough, I think, round this track.
It's
not the same way that Bo does.
It's not just confidence as well. Remember, one knock could have completely affected his strategy, and it may just cost him the possibility of being able to win the championship straight up. He has a competition to win at the end of this, and at the end of the day, if he can just be patient and get around him knowing he's got a few laps in hand, he could do it. But with 7 laps gone plus the amount of Q2 laps he did on those tyres will be burning out quicker than he thinks, and he should get around Bo as quick as possible.
And just quickly jumping backfield, Nicky took 6th place from Jerome, made a move on him, but then lost it at turn 6, and he's dropped back into 7th place there. So a very close fight. Keep an eye on that. Jerome is also closing in on Gamble. So Jerome in the Mercedes closing in on Gamble for 5th place. Gamble was in 8th. He's moved up to 5th. So let's keep an eye on that midfield, because I think there could be some interesting fights happening there as well.
Cracking job from the McLaren actually to get up from 8th to 5th, and another cracking job as well from Peter F1 tonight. He's obviously started fairly low back, in fact 6 places below where he started, now currently in 8th, obviously benefiting not just from the drivers struggling, including John, who's down 7 places in 11th, but also being able to maintain and control the race at his own pace, and he's now benefiting from that. He's in the points.
Indeed, and he has benefited because everyone from 10 down, Martin, John, Fernand and Nelson, have all pitted.
Coming up to a back marker.
We've seen 2 of them go onto the mediums. The only one that started on the mediums was actually Grimm, and he's currently in 9th place.
Bo and Stoner now, and Baz now coming up to a back marker on lap 8. Looks like the back marker of Elfren, the Force India driver, currently struggling at the moment at the back of the grid. He's had to commit to 1 stop already, and he's spun out a couple of times, and there he goes. He lets them through.
Oh wow, he's just pulled over there to let them through.
Yeah, he's struggling, isn't he, Elfren,
he's
today?
Definitely struggling on those mediums.
Like I said, the softs they were like they were not getting a lot of traction. Like I said, it'd be awful for the medium runners at the moment.
Well, I was doing a test run this week actually on the mediums with full fuel, and it did help with the full fuel loads to give you that little bit of extra grip on those mediums. But I wouldn't recommend it towards the latter part of the race, but on lighter fuel loads. But on heavier fuel loads it does help a little, but it does depend on your setup obviously.
Possible plan A for the Ferraris now probably not worked, which was Baz to get in front of Stoner. Now plan B in this case would be to keep keep Stoner behind Bo, burn through his tyres, and at the moment through sector 1 and 3 Stoner is losing lots of time. The only time he's gaining is on the straights with DRS, and I'm not being funny, but there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities for the Haas driver. So I know we were saying advantage Stoner at the start of the race, try and get around Bo, but Bo making it harder for him, those tyres burning through, it's 50-50 again, you know.
It is, and I don't think the overtaking places are on the straights. I think it's on these corners. Turn 4,
and you can see the
10.
traction. You can see the traction on Stoner's Haas at the moment. It's just not there. Coming through Zhao now, there, look. He's having to counter steer to the right to avoid the back end stepping out. Unfortunately, I think
he's gone for a loose setup for that speed.
No, I don't think it's anything to do with setup.
Downforce.
I don't think it's anything to do with setup. I think it's a relatively good setup, and although he's setting purple lap times, Bo is maintaining around about the same pace each lap, and Stoner is losing time where his tyres are clearly shredded. And I'm sorry, but I think, even though we've got a bit of an overtaking opportunity here, though, will he do it? No, he's not looking into it.
Now, turn 4 is a great.
There's a bit of his front
look
wing
at this!
gone.
He's got
There's
damage.
His front wing gone. Yeah, there's
He's taken out the front left of his wing there.
Yeah, braking far too
Ran
late.
into the back of Bo.
His tyres are
wiped out
shredded.
the
He's had
front
enough.
left.
The tyres, well, I won't say the tyres are shredded, but they are definitely best. They are beyond their sell-by date now, we'll say. So get them in, get another set of tyres on, and get a new front wing on. That's what my call is here.
Well, get in early. Don't wait for it, because you're going to need that downforce. You're going to need that front wing. He needs to get in now. And John incurs a 3-second time penalty, first of this evening that we've seen, for exceeding track limits. So Stoner's going to need to pit. Please don't stay out, Stoner. Come in now. Don't waste time. We've got a whole race to go.
Yeah, and he's doing it.
And he's coming in. He's coming in. So this will obviously put Bass into second place. Now Ferraris are both on those softs. Now, do you think they're going to stick to their strategy now that they do have first and second? I think
yes,
they will.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Interesting call from Stoner going on to a set of soft tyres. Personally, I'd go on to a set of mediums. I know traction's pretty low, but the track is now under sun conditions. I know we were saying earlier there's possibility of rain. We were on overcast conditions. It's now sunny again, so the track is going to warm up quite nicely. So the medium tyre runners are now start to see an increase in grip. I'd probably stay onto a set of mediums until this supposed rain period. So I think he could have gone onto a set of mediums to the end of the race, but clearly he wants to show pace. Stoner now down in 7th.
I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly there. I think he's made the wrong call. I agree. I think he should have gone onto a set of mediums, because then that would have cancelled out the
extra pit stop
advantage that Bo and Bass have on those softs.
Absolutely, 100%. The Ferraris are now at a significant advantage, in my opinion. But you never know, anything could happen. Remember, these are obviously older softs, and they will have to come in eventually, because if, well, the conditions state that it could be a possibility, quote-unquote, of rain, but the sun's out. So...
And it is beaming down, and that track has got to be hot. So
yeah,
you've got to have some good grip now on that track, especially with the amount of runners, laps that we've done.
And I think as well, out of the Ferraris, it's advantage Baz, because Bo burning through those soft tyres to make sure that he maintains the first place means Baz is going to have a slightly healthier set of softs. So I think next couple of laps you could see Baz closing that gap down on Bo, which would be very detrimental to Bo's strategy to try and win the championship at the moment. Mind you, Baz himself obviously in 3rd place as well, so potentially he wants to try and battle his teammates. So it's definitely interesting to see what the Ferraris do.
Well, I have heard through the grapevine, as I said, there was certainly no love lost last season. Although they are great friends, they are competitors on track. There was certainly no love lost between them last season. But I have heard through the grapevine that they will, or they are looking to work in conjunction with one another. So I feel that, although I can understand what you're saying, I still think that Bass is going to back up his teammate and try and help him out as much as possible.
Yeah, call team orders for sure. If that involves just getting round him and just saying, listen, I'm a faster car, don't let me, you know, get in your way and all that. That might be the case. Message coming through, by the way, in the chat from Laney Love. Everyone is doing so fantastic. Keep it up, everyone. Vroom, vroom.
Oh, excellent. I don't know who Laney Love is, but thank you very, very much for watching, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. So here we are now, we're on lap 13, this is F1 Tonight 2017, Season 3, and we are at Interlagos in Brazil, the penultimate race of this championship. Next week we are at the final race in Abu Dhabi, but this is a race really to be made. We're currently with Stoner, he's our race champion, or rather championship leader, and he's currently in 6th place. He had to pit because he wiped out the front left of his front left wing, and that's put him into P6. He is starting to close down slowly and surely on Nicky, but Nicky, look at this, Nicky's only 3/10 off the back of Gamble now, and we haven't been watching this too closely. Gamble started in 8th, he moved up to 5th, Nicky was behind him. He did actually take Jerome obviously came to the pits. Nicky's taken the place from him in 5th, but he's closing in on Gamble now. And this is going to be an interesting little fight, isn't it?
Slacky in P3 at the moment, actually. Very slow, actually. Gamble.
He is, and Gamble's closing in on him. Look at this. They're coming round now. We've got a
Don't know what
minor
the problem is
stern
with
here.
Slacky at the moment, but he is struggling at the
Slacky
moment.
being
to not be
overtaken
funny.
by Gamble,
Yeah,
and indeed
that's it. As
Gamble
will
takes
Nicky
third
as
place
well.
from Slacky.
As will Nicky as well. As will Nicky in the Force India.
He's
There he
also
goes.
making the move on him.
Still for a
before they
battle with
come. Yes,
Gamble.
look at this. What's the problem there with Slacky? Because he seems to be losing. He seems to have a lack of power there.
I don't know if it's like I mean, I should imagine it won't be the power unit that's a problem, but I reckon not fuel saving, so potentially he's wanting to extend his super soft stint, so he's not battling with the other drivers around him. I'm not too sure, but either way, he's going to have to get out of the way of Stoner behind him. He's only 3.5 seconds behind, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, Stoner's very, very soon going to be closing in on the back of that
close
Renault.
battle for P3 actually. Gamble's looking to obviously maintain his third place at the moment. Obviously,
He is,
not
Nicky's looking
net.
to take that place from him.
Oh, get the inside, go on the outside onto the in.
Look at this.
From Nicky. No, cracking
Look
driving
at this.
from Nicky.
And he's got advantage
Oh,
now.
no,
Oh,
Gamble,
and Gamble just closes the door on him. Look at that.
You've got to leave more space than that one there, Gamble. That's a bit of a bad move from him.
Gamble completely shut the door on Nicky there. He was lucky not to wipe him out on that front wing.
Nicky had an amazing run through there. I think he actually made a very good move, brake early, come onto the inside, go around the outside, and then head on to the in. Very disappointing stuff from Gamble, because I know he's got a bit of a reputation for being a bit aggressive, but not so aggressive that he forces drivers off track. Bit of an unusual one from him.
Yeah, I mean, he
Picking
definitely
up
shut
dirt,
the door completely on
that's the
him.
worst thing you can do. Oh,
Nicky is that close to him. I think he needs to be a little bit more cautious and take it up. Maybe he can take him on turn 4. He does have DRS.
numbers coming in from the
So
viewers,
let's
by
see.
the way. And taking a look now, long race ahead for the drivers, and the race can change in a second, says Tom123 for the win, as Stoner's just overtook Slacky in the Renault. Just making note that obviously Synergy driver, going up on the inside, surely he's got to give the power. Oh, there goes Nicky!
And Nicky, no, Nicky, don't lose it, keep it on, man.
Don't rejoin dangerously.
Oh, that was close.
My God,
but
that's
look
close.
at this, Stoner takes advantage. Can Stoner move ahead? No, Nicky keeps the place.
Not
I
being
think Stoner
funny,
was
but
very
that was
generous there.
Yeah, Nicky and clearly Gamble and Nicky at the moment under a lot of pressure at trying to maintain third place, but Nicky very unlucky to be battling Gamble at this rate, because he's been incredibly dangerous on track. I've certainly should be recording those clips if you haven't already.
Indeed, I haven't.
I have.
Good man, because we'll need
There
those.
goes Stoner. Yeah,
Look at
that was
this.
bound to happen. Bound to
Stoner
happen.
now overtaking Nicky as they come into
Don't
the
battle
centre
with him.
S. Nicky just
Don't
picking up a
battle
little
with
bit
him,
of
Nicky.
dirt there on the right hand side.
Don't battle with him. Just get round Gamble as well.
Yeah, just take your time.
Slacky's
Stay in close
in the pits.
behind him. Let him overtake Gamble.
They're very disappointed with Gamble actually those last couple of laps. He was far too aggressive, and let Stoner through, no problem.
Well,
yeah,
he completely shut the door on on Nicky there
I have a lot of
as
respect
they
for
were
the
coming around
McLarens.
turn 8.
I have a lot of respect for the McLarens, but that wasn't very good. I'll say that.
So we're riding with Nicky. He's currently in 5th place. He's 1.4 seconds off Gamble, who's currently in 4th. Stoner is in 3rd. He's moved up. He did come out in 7th when he had to pit. He's now moved up to 3rd, but he's 21 seconds behind Bass. Now, this is interesting because 21 seconds.
Ferraris. Oh dear.
We're in that window.
Ferraris have got a really good opportunity here. Bo
They have
pits
got to open up
first.
that gap though.
Bo pits first, 22 seconds is the difference. It is 3 seconds, but go on to a set of super soft tyres, set another set of softs maybe. If there's definitely going to be a rain pit, it's going to be interesting to see what they do, but Stoner's definitely going to be the faster out of the 2 Ferraris. If they want to take an advantage, they should pit, but the question is, what tyre do they go on?
Well, this is the thing. Stoner is on a fresher set of softs. So the question is if he starts to close down that gap, they need to think either about. Well, I don't know. Is it too early
the
to
only
pit
idea
on those
I've got,
softs?
No, I wouldn't say so. No, I think it's an opportunity here because they're going to be under a significant lot of strain now. I think if they want to take an idea, possibly, Baz pit first, try and set a super softs, see what happens. And if Baz comes out in front of Stoner, Baz can hold Stoner back, Bo goes into the pits and then pits, and he will be ahead of Baz and Bo. So if I was the Ferraris, I'd pit Baz first and see if he gets in front of Stoner. I know it's only, 20.5 second gap, but remember, every lap that goes by, Stoner is going to be taking chunks of time out of them. and before long, Stoner's going to be in the advantage. So I call it here. Baz, get in the pits, see what you can do.
Well, I'm just following Nicky now. Nicky's closed that gap down now. He's only 3/10 off the back of Gamble. He's got DRS.
Gotta let him through.
He's coming up the turn now.
Fast.
He's right up the rear end of that McLaren there. They're coming through the centre S, and he's got him. He's got him.
Surely that's it.
Yes,
yeah.
he has.
Well done,
they're coming
Nicky.
to turn 3. Lovely move there by Nicky. Well done, sir. Force India driver Nicky there moves up into 4th place.
Gamble's looking for a bit more of an overtaking to 4 though. Is he going to be aggressive?
4, he's going to go for turn 4.
No, well
Nicky's
held.
got the advantage.
Well held. Nicky's going to have a massive advantage
Coming
going
up
out to the
5,
inside.
6, and they touch wheels again. They're coming round
Gamble's
7.
got to leave space there. Gamble has to leave space.
8.
That's it.
That's it. They've got it now. Nicky's made the move and he's made it stick now as he comes downhill. Turn 9, such a difficult turn as he accelerate up out of turn 9 into 10, and then that hard left almost. Well, it is a hairpin really, 10.
Yeah, it
Coming
is. Of course, it is.
out of the end of section 2, sector 2.
Just sorry, just
Sweeping
taking a look at the
down
moment. Wow. Oh, that rear end stepping out for Gamble at the moment. He's struggling on those tyres. He's obviously burnt through them. Take a look at the rear view camera of Gamble. You can see the significant tyre wear that's burning through, and no surprise, he's in the pits.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah, definitely. So Gamble comes into the pits. I think he's being a little bit wiser. I mean, it wasn't a great move he did there on Nicky when he shut the door on him.
I was just talking, actually, funnily enough, about a comment that Tom123 for the win, a Synergy PWR driver. He just said long race ahead for the drivers, and race ahead of the drivers, and the race can change at any second. I mean, just an example there, the battling between Gamble and Nicky shows that at any second it can change a race. So it's a very good point. Weekend Racing, by the way, made a comment just saying, well done, Jottr, for yesterday at Italy at Synergy. Yeah, appreciate the compliment, mate. Thank you very much.
And it's great. We're getting some real good rapport building up now, I think, between these leagues, and hopefully we can build on that in the future. Synergy PWR, People's World Racing, if you're interested, please do watch them. Great racing. They have 2 divisions. Division 2 race predominantly on a Tuesday night, around about 7:45 UK time, and Division 1 on a Wednesday night, 7:45 UK time. And then obviously F1 Tonight, who we are with this evening, on a Thursday night around about
Nicky in the pits
7:45
responding.
So Nicky's gone into the pits.
To respond to Gamble. Might be a good call though. Let's have a look.
I think it is 17. A good call, because Gamble's gone on to set super softs. What's Nicky going to go on to?
It's going to be 19
softs.
seconds.
Super softs. Is he a
yes.
No, softs.
It's going to be 19 seconds.
Nicky goes
I've
onto a
got
set of softs.
Set of soft tyres, unlike Gamble has gone onto a set of super softs, so he will be the faster driver. Question is, what's it going to be like when he gets out of the pits? He's got to be quick enough. Gamble coming around sector 1. Nicky, I think, might have just
pitted, and
overcut him.
Bo's gone onto a set of mediums.
Has Nicky just done it? Nicky, I think, has just done the overcut. That's it. He's managed to get around Gamble, and I think he's ahead or he's behind. Oh no, he's just behind. But he is on
just behind him.
Oh, he's on a. Oh yeah, he's on a harder compounder tyre as well. I think Gamble might have made a good call. A bit unfortunate. I think he was a bit slow coming out of his box as well. So I think if he were just a bit faster on that trigger, he might have been able to get out faster. But keep a firm eye on the battle for him and Jerome, that's for sure.
Well, there's definitely going to be a fight there. Jerome's closing in, but Jerome's on an older set of softs, remember. Nicky's on a fresh set of softs. Gamble is on a set of super softs, and he is ahead of Nicky.
Taking the lead, and I called it. The Ferrari should have come in a lot earlier, and I think
they should have come in as straight away after Stoner pitted, really.
Yeah,
But the interesting thing is, Bo's gone onto a set of mediums.
Set of mediums, yes, he has. Interesting call from Bo. He's hoping for the rain period, while Stoner is hoping to do. Well, there's obviously both of them at this rate are going to be doing another stop. There's no doubt about it. If the rain comes, if the rain doesn't come, Bo can go to the end. Stoner can't.
And this is the thing. I think, is that what Bo's looking to do? I mean, I think mediums at this stage of the game, we're about a third of the way through the race.
Yeah, they can do 50 laps easy.
So he just needs to get them worn in. He's going to be doing some slow times.
Got a bounce.
And I think Bass is going to be overtaken. I think Bass is going to be. He's going to take
Bass
that
will be the
position
faster
from him.
driver.
I think he's going to let Bass through.
Baz will be the faster driver. There's no doubt about it. But Bo don't think he'll be slow because with the track now sunlight, you can see it blaring down. I can't see a cloud in the sky actually. So the track is going to be nice and warm. Those medium tyres will dig in quite nicely now. Baz will be the faster driver naturally. Super soft tyres, but those tyres will wear down quickly. Stoner, considering that Baz and Bo now are on the newer tyres, will be on now a slightly older set of softs. Don't count Stoner out just yet, but I think those softs were a bad call.
I tend to agree because he will go deep. I think, well, it's difficult to call. I mean, he could have gone on to a medium and seen him to the end of the race, but...
Oh, that would have been tricky.
Well, time will tell. Time will tell. I just don't think that Bass necessarily made the right call on those super softs, but they've clearly got a bit of...
It depends really, doesn't it, the Woods? Because the thing is that I think the medium tyres, 50 laps could possibly go to the end. I said they'd be easy, but I don't think it's necessarily easy, but it's definitely one that you have to think during the middle of the stint. Do I need to relax now? A bit of tyre sort of saving. But the thing is, naturally, if there is rain on the forecast at the moment, there clearly isn't. But if there is, then those medium tyres will very nicely go into the rain period. So Bo may be thinking ahead for the rain period. There's definitely a lot to consider, and I'm going to be having to think about it over the next couple of laps.
There is quite a bit to consider because this is certainly mixed up. Clearly the Ferrari driver's going on a mixed strategy here.
No surprise
and I'm just with Nicky now. Nicky was closing in on the back of Gamble. Backed off a little bit here, but I shouldn't think it'll be too long before we'll be closing in on him.
No, I don't agree.
So this fight is still very much alive.
No, I don't think so. I think Gamble will should take a hold now on the super soft runs compared to Nicky's soft tyres. However, if Nicky can try and maintain what 4 seconds before Gamble's super soft start to wear down, then we could end up having another battle on the cards. But we've just got to make sure that Nicky keeps the pace up with Gamble at the moment, which at the moment he's losing about a tenth a lap, which isn't bad considering he's on a harder compound.
Well, I'm just having a look at the pits now, and everybody's pitted. Martin has pitted twice, Phenomenon has pitted twice, but everyone else is now pitted at least once. And we're starting to see John, obviously, he's taken 4th place there.
Yeah, no surprise, Baz gone fastest.
Place.
30.0, cracking lap from him.
1:13 for Bass. And he's closing in on the back of Bo. I shouldn't think it'll be too long before Bo will probably let him pass, and he'll probably be here now on turn 4. Yep. Bo lets his teammate through there.
Yeah, don't battle, don't waste time. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's not mess about. So Bass has been released now to close that gap in on Stoner. And this is going to be interesting now. 3-second time penalty for Grim and for Slacky. This is really proving to be quite interesting because now we've had the round of pits. It's certainly mixed it up a bit now.
I'm just taking a look at
the 3 drivers.
Taking a look at the replays at the moment with the instant recurring. That meant that Stoner had to pit in earlier than he wanted to. Stoner came onto those softs lap 11. Baz went on to his set of super softs on 20. Bo went on to his set of mediums on 21. So those Stoner's tyres will be plenty bedded in by now. Reckon it'll be next 5 to 6 laps we'll start to see a significant drainage of time. But Baz, as you can quite clearly see on the newer set of super soft tyres, is just taking chunks of time out of Stoner.
Definitely, and he'll be closing in on him, I think, within the next couple of laps, really.
I don't think it'll be a couple of laps. I think it possibly will be the next lap. We might see overtaking opportunities. Keep an eye out, though, because I think not just going to be the battle for 1st and 2nd. I think you've got to keep an eye on the battle for 4th at the moment, with Slacky now on a set of super soft tyres. John F1 tonight now on a set of mediums, probably until the end of the race.
We were commenting on Nicky, but Nicky's now down to 5/10 behind Gamble.
Oh God, he's faster. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's
very interesting.
Commenting on earlier, I could see that Nicky was starting to close that gap.
I don't know if he's got any damage or something. How is Gamble slower on
3/10 off the back of Gamble. Nicky is not letting this go, and this would be very, very interesting if Nicky can take that place. I just don't think, I mean, we know that the most McLaren drivers drive with a looser setup, and this isn't the track really to have that sort of loose setup. I'm wondering if that's...
Exactly. Baz got even faster.
I think that's what's... Yeah, I think that's what's detracting from Gamble there. And Nicky has definitely closed that down. I mean, Gamble is opening it up on the straight.
Oh, a bit too wide though for Nicky. He's going to lose buckets of time through Zhou.
But that second sector, I think that's where Nicky is definitely winning out. He's in sector 2. He certainly looks to be closing the gap down.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think I'm surprised actually Gamble's struggling at the moment on the super soft tyres because they were the one that would be the grippiest tyre. And the only idea I've got, oh, he's losing back end. You can see it going through one. I think you're absolutely right. Obviously, the lower downforce setup were on straights such as this one here, and then obviously the alternate one at the top of the hill. And as much as I respect, you know, people who run low downforce setups, if you run an ultra low downforce setup, you're going to be really struggling through this sector here, you know, the weavy left and rights. And I think, I'll be honest with you, maybe Nicky's setup maybe just fit and just right for those soft tyres. So, interesting battle for 6th.
Yeah, I don't think Nicky's going to let that lie, and you can see him. Look at this now.
Stoner closing that gap. Sorry, Baz closing the gap
the
on
fastest
Stoner.
provisional time. 1:12.
Got his gearbox into 1. He's doing a cracking job at trying to get round Stoner now. I think we're obviously going to have a bit of a battle now for P1.
Bass has got the DRS on Stoner. He's looking to try and make that move. Stoner is more than aware that he's got Bass behind him.
It's very interesting actually, because I'm just having to think about it now. And the question I've got here is... Oh, it's gone massively wide. Lost gap,
Bass has made the move, he's taken him. And that was on turn 8. Bass takes Stoner on turn 8. So
don't know whether Stoner just gave him the space.
First place from Stoner.
Don't know whether Stoner just gave him the space actually, because it looked like he just went off track and said, hey, what? P1 is all yours. I'm not wasting any time with you.
It seems that way. I don't think he was too preoccupied about it.
Well, at the end of the day, it's obviously a different strategy. Baz is definitely going to have to pit. I mean, he pitted on 21,
well,
it's 27.
Have to pit before...
Yeah, well, he's going to have to pit before. He's going to be pitting around about the same time as Stoner, in my opinion, because I think those
there was only
tyres...
2 laps between them. Stoner pitted 2 laps earlier than Bass.
I'm thinking about it at the moment, and I think he can take those 25 laps. He did them on lap 11, so that'll take it to lap 36. So another 8 laps left in those softs. Baz came onto those laps on 21. I think they can only go between 15 and 20 laps, so at the earliest, he'll be coming in around lap 36. So Stoner and Baz may be pitting around about the same time. Stoner may be a little bit later. Baz may be even a little bit later, actually. They've got options. Meanwhile, Bo will take an advantage. He's keeping up with Stoner, let's be honest, on those medium tyres, which are nicely warming up with clouds now forming over in the sky. I'll tell you what, it's actually going to be really interesting the next sort of 10, maybe 15 laps, so keep an eye out on that battle.
I think it definitely is, and Nicky is now down to, look at this, 0.2 of a second behind
Slacky is struggling at the moment, and he's just letting the places go, and now that's awful for Nicky. It means he's going to be losing time on Gamble.
Well, he doesn't want to lose too much time with Slacky. I mean, Gamble's obviously got past him, but Nicky needs to get past him ASAP.
Absolutely. Zhou, maybe?
I don't know. Let's have a look at this. He's certainly, I mean, he's all over the gearbox of Slacky.
Is it going to be as that Glock? No, it's not.
This is certainly proving to be quite an interesting race, because I think what we're seeing here is really comparable performance between those softs and super softs, which isn't normally the case. It seems to be pretty close, actually.
I'm just doing a little bit of math here at the moment as John has gone into the pits. He's had enough on the mediums.
Oh,
that's
and
a
Nicky,
bit of an unusual.
Yeah, Nicky makes the move, nearly makes the move there on Slacky on turn 1.
Slacky's not giving up the position without a fight. That's awful for the battle with Gamble.
Slacky is definitely not going to get that position easily. Oh yes!
Nice.
Look at
there
this.
We are beautiful.
Nice move by Nicky there.
Textbook overtake from Nicky. Cracking job.
Fantastic move. So Nicky takes 5th place from Slacky now gives him the opportunity to close down that gap again on Gamble. Gave Gamble a bit of a respite in obviously overtaking Slacky, as he had Nicky all over the back of him. But Nicky now has been released. Let's see how quickly he can come on the back of that McLaren there of Gamble.
So, interesting news, by the way, coming from the camp between Baz and Stoner. They're now matching lap times by maybe hundredths of a second. So keep a firm eye at the moment for battle for P1, because those super softs, as I predicted, are now starting to wear out. He's been on them since lap 21, nearly 10 laps old now. I reckon it'll be around lap 35 when Baz decides to pit. I still think it'll be around about lap 35, 36 when Stoner pits as well. So I think they're going to be on matching strategies.
Did you see them both come into the pits at the same time, do you think?
Well, Stoner came on those softs on 11. Baz came onto those on lap 20. They're 10 laps old now. His his soft tyres, Stoner's, are now 19 laps old. I reckon there's only 5 or so laps left in each tyre. The only driver that's really got an advantage by a lap here really is Stoner. So Stoner could probably go 1 lap later than Baz, but at this rate, it's going to be close. But I think keep an eye out, because I think Stoner may be 1 lap in the black. I'm going to talk about that in that way anyway.
This is going to be interesting. I'm just watching Peter in a Williams closing in on the back of Martin and Toro. Oh, he's just gone off there, turn 4, unfortunately. He was closing in on the back of Martin in the Toro Rosso. Only 7/10 between them at this moment.
Credit's due to Bo, by the way. He's only just losing, what, about 3 or 4 tenths a lap on Stoner. 5.5 seconds is the difference, and with a 20-ish second pit lane, plus the exit if you really blast through it, I think Bo's got a serious advantage going into what could be the rain period, because I'm not being funny, but that beautiful sunshine in the last 10 laps has disappeared. It's starting to cloud over quite significantly, isn't it?
It is. It's starting to get greyer. So, you know, could we start to see rain coming down in the 40s? If it does, it's certainly going to mix it up.
I'm thinking more the 50s. I'm thinking the possible of rain could happen in the 50s. So you could be looking in the 50s and the 60s. If it happens in the 40s, significant advantage to Bo. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, let's keep an eye on that and see what happens. Slacky's starting to close in on the back of Gamble now. So Slacky has taken that place back from Nicky. So he's taken 5th place back from Nicky, and he's starting to close on Gamble. Not too sure. I think Nicky went off track a little bit there. Lost it. Not too sure which corner it was. Gave Slacky the advantage to move ahead.
Back marking news as well in the form of Martin BMW as well. He's now currently looks possibly a bit of an overtake from Peter F1 tonight in the Williams, who's actually doing a cracking job at the moment, considering he started down in P14, right at the back of Peter, wasn't it?
Yeah, right.
So
at the back of the field,
cracking job actually from Peter to get into the points. Hopefully he'll be able to take more points off Martin.
Well, he's been closer. I think Martin's maintaining that gap. So
Nicky looking for an overtake.
But Nicky looking to make that move on Slacky. That's his front wing on. And who was that? That was his front wing completely gone. Nicky's front wing has completely gone.
That's not good for Nicky. Those tyres are fairly new. He's going to have to pit again, because that is a significant amount of damage on the end plates. I'm thinking he'll be pitting probably now a set of mediums to the end, or to the rain period, whichever comes first.
He's definitely taken the front end off that.
That's awful.
All the end plates are gone, bar one on the left, and that's it. He does still have the wing, but that's about it.
That's really upsetting for Nicky, because he was looking to try and close the gap down on Gamble, so surely he should pit now, set of mediums to the end of the race.
Well, yeah, this is it. He's going to need to pit, definitely. But does he go on to those mediums?
No, he's staying out.
He's not pitting, he's staying out.
Oh, I wouldn't have done that, but okay. It's a bit of a risk. He wants to do it if he thinks he's fast enough.
Well, let's watch it through the Center S, because this is where it's going to tell. He manages to take it okay. Slacky's not closing in too much on him. He does have DRS. This is interesting. Slacky really does not like that turn 4. always seems to go a bit too deep on there.
Cracking job, by the way, for Stoner, who is now only losing 1/10 of a second behind Baz. Baz obviously now pushing on those super softs. So it does mean that Baz still has the advantage, but bear in mind, obviously, Stoner's been on those softs since 11, so Baz has an opportunity to take the super softs a little bit longer than he could do. I did say around 35, 36, it could be a little bit later. Either way, Bo is still maintaining a gap of about 6.5 seconds now. Well, I still think it's advantage Bo.
At this moment in time, I do agree with you, because Bass and Stoner are clearly going to have to pit, and it's going to be pretty close as to when they do.
When is the rain going to come, though? That's the question. Because if these two, the longer that these two stay out...
You see the clouds are definitely forming.
The longer that these two stay out, the more time Bo is going to be losing. But then again, the longer that they stay out, the earlier that they will end up having to come in for intermediates if they want to stick with a pretty good strategy. So it's fine margins again, this time to do with the lap times. So they're going to have to work out a lot of math.
Nicky still staying out, so he seems to be comfortable with the loss of that downforce that he has had.
Still losing a significant
but
time,
Slacky
though, isn't
is
it?
really starting to close in on the back of him now.
Yeah, it's not even half a second separating them now at the moment. I think these two are definitely going to be looking for keeping the battle going either way. Nicky really should consider pitting in, going to a set of mediums, get his wing changed, and then take his tyres to the end, or the wet weather tyres, whichever comes first.
I think that he's going to pit.
Because either way, Woods, he's going to have to come into the pits anyway before the intermediates come, because those softs won't last.
He's staying out.
I'm not too sure. I'm not sure.
Well, here we are, people. We're on lap 35.71. This is F1 Tonight 2017, Season 3, Brazil, Interlagos. And we've certainly seen a very, very interesting race indeed.
Stoner's tyres. That's it. I think that's about it now. He's got to the end of his tyres now. I'm taking a look at it, and he's losing buckets of time on Baz, even though Baz is going to be on a significantly slower tyre soon, and I think Stoner has got to consider pitting, and I think he's going to be under a significant disadvantage against Bo.
Well, fair play to Bass, because I mean, he's made those tyres last pretty damn well, really.
You've got to bear in mind as well that Stoner only needs 4th to win the championship, so he might not even need to battle for the win. He might just be thinking, right, I've got to do better than 4th. If he pits now, he will still be in 3rd, and with at least 16 seconds in front of Gamble, who is on a set of super soft tyres. So,
yeah,
I mean, considering the championship at the moment,
he's playing the long game. I think he's not. I don't think he's overly preoccupied about getting necessarily pole. I think that would be a nice way to finish off. I don't think he's hanging out for it.
It's a championship at the end of the day. It's not a race to win. This is the finale for him. He can win it, and with a 36-second gap between him and 4th place, which he can still take as a victory. To be honest with you, Stoner is as regards to the race, advantage Bo. As regards to the championship, it's definitely Stoner's.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
Martin's crashed.
3-second time penalty there for Jerome. Oh, Martin's out.
Yeah, he spun it at 1.
Oh, Martin crashes out on the centre S. Wipes out his front left. So Martin for Toro Rosso is DNF. Oh, it's a shame. That is a real shame. Miguel also is out earlier. We're with Bass, who's our current race leader, in 1st place. 3.3 seconds behind him is Stoner in 2nd place. 6 seconds behind him is Bo in the Ferrari in 3rd place. Then we have Gamble for McLaren is in 4th place. He's got Slacky for Renault, 5 seconds off the back of him. 6th place is Nicky for Force India. John for Red Bull is 7th. Jerome for Mercedes is 8th. Peter for Williams is 9th. Grim for Haas is 10th. Phenomena for Sauber is 11. Martin is DNF. Elfrans, I think he dropped out some time ago. He's back in 13. and Miguel DNF.
Ooh.
We're running with Bass, and now this is where it's going to start getting interesting. We're on lap 38 of 71. We expect either Bass or Stoner to be pitting relatively soon. They only pitted about 2 between them.
It's official. Bo is faster than Stoner now. Bo is faster than Stoner, and he's gaining at a rate of knots actually on those medium tyres. Stoner, I know he's wanted to push those soft tyres as much as he can. You can take a look at the visible degradation marks in the middle. He's approaching about 50-60%, I think. So if he was on simulation damage, he'd be approaching puncture territory at this point. I mean, I'm not being funny here, but there's the same difference now between him and third place as well as first. If he wants to try and win the race, I'd surely consider another pit stop. But it's definitely an interesting one. Sander making a comment, by the way, in the YouTube section. John showing some very good promise, which, to be fair, considering his accident earlier on in the race, forcing him into the pits early, he's now looking for an overtake on Nicky into turn number 4.
And he does it. Makes it stick. Nice move there by John. So John takes 6th place from Nicky, and he's going to surely be closing in on Slacky before too long as well. Another couple of laps. So let's keep an eye out for that one. That's certainly but Nicky, why is Nicky still out? I still can't figure it out.
I think the thing is that he's going to have to pit anyway. And I don't know whether he's just going to try and take his car to the intermediates condition. So whether he's had a call from Jeff on the radio to say that.
John power sliding round turn 11 there. Nearly lose it. I think he's starting to lose. Is he losing grip? Surely not.
No, I don't think so. Those tyres look pretty healthy at the moment.
I was just saying, it a little bit on the track.
I was just saying, I don't know whether Nicky's trying to just take now his nurse's car to the wet weather conditions, whether he's had a call from Jeff to say, you know, the conditions are expected to turn wet in pretty soon, maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes. I don't know, but I did say round about lap 50, around 60 would sound about right. You said lap 40. If it is around the 40s, it's definitely advantage Bo going into the wet weather conditions. All dependent, of course, if Stoner and Baz actually pit. Because if they don't pit, well, I'm not being funny, but Bo may be struggling on those medium tyres, even though they will last longer in the wet conditions.
Well, let's see what happens, because this is really... We're sitting on the edge of a precipice, I think, at this moment in time. I think the next 4 or 5 laps are pretty much going to be as they are. But undoubtedly we're going to soon be looking at Bass and or Stoner coming into the pits, and if they do, what do they go on? I mean, if Bass were to come in, what's he going to go on? He's going to go on.
It all depends.
Surely.
It all depends on when the wet weather's supposedly meant to be arriving. If looking at those conditions, and it is getting pretty dark, especially around number 3 at the moment. In fact, it
are
could
these
be.
drivers hanging out for that? Do you think?
I
they're
think
just thinking,
might
right,
be.
let's keep going and let's see what
happens
happens when this rain comes down.
No, I think it might be due soon, and this is why I was saying I think those soft and super soft tyres are going to be severely degraded, and the only reason why they would stay out is because if the wet weather is due any second now, and you can see as Stoner's losing it through 1, he's really struggling with grip at the moment. Surely any second now the intermediate conditions are due. Either way, if they're not going to arrive in the next couple of laps, Bo is going to get around Stoner when it comes to the intermediate tyres coming on. So it will be a Ferrari 1-2 at that rate, but Stoner will still win the championship.
Well, wow, this is certainly turning out to be quite a race. We were expecting it, but not quite this way. And you can see, I mean, you know, Bo is within sight now of Stoner. I mean, 1.8 seconds. It's not going to be too long before he's going to be on the gearbox of Stoner.
Surely, I mean, I'm going to say around about lap 42, 43, but you can see, especially as they come round and shout now at turn number 12, you can certainly see the dark clouds glooming now. We are due for rain.
Definitely getting darker.
We are due for rain, but the question is, when's it going to be? Because if it's the next 10 or so minutes, that's around about, give or take, 7 or 8 laps. 7 or 8 laps on a set of softs that are on 60-something% is detrimental.
We're riding in car with Bo at this moment in time as he's coming round turn 3 onto the straight. After Aposta down to turn 4, and he's got Stoner in his sights. You can see him up ahead.
Blue flags, Peter. Blue flags, Peter. Blue flags. Oh, Stoner's lost time. He's had to brake with the back marker of Peter.
Oh,
Bo is going to gain so much time on him.
Lets him through. Look at this now. Bo is all over the back of the gearbox of Stoner. Look at this.
He had to brake for Peter. Wasn't so sure whether he was going to let him through. Oh dear.
Surely Stoner's going to have to pit.
Well, to be fair, Stoner's championship still
his.
Oh,
look at this! And Bass makes the move in turn 12.
It's a Junshao, cracking job. Yeah, cracking job. Far more grip.
Stoner's all over the place.
Yeah, cracking job.
Surely he has to pit now. And he's staying out.
Yeah, no doubt. At the end of the day, there's no point battle with him. Try and make him lose as much time as possible, and he might take an advantage going into the intermediates weather, but Stoner really didn't want to see that if he really wanted to win the race. Either way, he'll still be winning the championship, and he'll be winning it by at least 50 seconds. But it's definitely looking like a good Ferrari 1-2, and a very good plan from them is definitely going to equal their 1-2 of this. No, it won't be their first 1-2 of the season, but for sure it'll definitely be a cracking 1-2 as regards to their planning.
Oh, absolutely, and clearly they've played the strategy game here. I thought it was interesting when, you know, Bo went on to the mediums and Bass went on to the super softs. I wasn't too sure what they were playing at.
I just don't know.
It's clearly working out for them.
I just don't know what that weather's big, because the thing is that if John F1 tonight goes fastest 112.7, cracking lap time for him. One thing that I've been making
a lot more grey cloud.
One thing I've got to make note of is the thing is that it's all well and good, this weather condition strategy, but the thing is that we don't know whether it's like light cloud into overcast into rain, or if it's just from light cloud straight into rain. We don't know whether it's going to be lap 45 or lap 55. There might be 10 minutes difference. We don't know. Either way, 5 to 10 laps is massive, especially for Stoner. It's only been, what, a lap and a half since he's been overtook? He's 2 seconds down on Bo. And the question is...
already.
I know it's like another 44-second gap on Gamble and another 2 on John after that, right? But Gamble will be significantly faster and John will be significantly faster. Oh no, there's the rain. There's the rain.
Here it comes. And it's starting to fall now. Yeah, here we have it. Lap 44. I got you on that one, Jottr. I called it in the 40s.
So it turns wet at 44. Do I owe you a pint after that one? Question is, what happens? What will it be, Carling or Carlsberg?
Oh no, it'd be Guinness, mate.
Oh, Guinness, cracking. I'll have one on that with you on that one. Stoner at the moment, I'm not so sure. Is he going to risk going on to intermediates earlier? Because, I mean, Grimm's straight on it now.
Way too early to go onto those
Baz
intermediates
is straight
now.
onto a set of intermediates. His super softs have
Is he
had
going
it.
onto those already?
He should be going on to intermediate shortly. It's far too early for intermediates. Far too early for intermediates at the moment. So
he's
Stoner,
going on to intermediates.
Yeah, far too early for intermediates at the moment. But for sure, Stoner's in a really bad situation here, because Baz at the moment, he's obviously on a really bad set of tyres in the wet. Baz is on intermediates too early, but will eventually become a better tyre. Bo is on the best tyre at the moment. A fairly young, medium tyres, came on lap 21, so 24 laps old, right? So not too bad on the degradation. And harder tyres, which are noted to be better in the wet. He's on the best tyre at the moment, and will be faster than Stoner by a rate of knots. Baz, intermediates, may be too hot for the conditions at the moment, not wet enough, but they will be fast enough. Question is, will he be able to overtake Stoner? When will Gamble come in? And if Stoner leaves it out too late, he could miss out on 4th and be battling for 5th with John. And if John gets him, that's it. Bo takes advantage into Abu Dhabi, and it goes down to the wire.
Well, interestingly enough, I just note that DRS has been disabled, so maybe
so that's
Bass
the telltale
has
sign,
called it right on those intermediates, because clearly that rain is coming down heavily.
Yeah,
DRS has been disabled.
Yeah, typical telltale sign that when the DRS is disabled, when it's time to come in. But no, Bo straight in. Stoner no doubt will come in. He's got to. crap tyres, to put it politely. So he'll be in, yeah, no surprise there.
Stoner's coming in as well.
So Baz will take a significant lead. It will be at least 20 seconds, that's for sure.
And Bass is coming over the start-finish line now into turn 1. He takes first place. Bo will be coming out ahead of Stoner because he did pit obviously ahead of him, and then Stoner will be coming out. So they will still be first, second and third because Gamble is a good minute or so behind them because he pitted as well and he's gone on to the intermediates.
Fantastic call from Baz. I nearly called him out, say it was the wrong time, but I'm telling you, oh, Bo really struggling coming out of there, lost the back end.
Well, he's on a fresh set there, so... Well, what can I say? Great strategy call from Bass there.
I said 20
I did
seconds.
question him
going
bad. Onto those mediums earlier, but it's not. It looks like he called it perfectly, really.
No, I will give him credit where credit's due, Baz. You've got it absolutely spot on, mate. You know better than I do.
He did. Well, he definitely did, yeah, because I was a little bit, okay. But, yeah, absolutely.
We've got to take into consideration as well, obviously, the humidity. And I mean, all the scientific stuff that comes with weather conditions. In Brazil, humidity is a lot higher. So when rain comes down, it might be more humid. It might make the track more soggy earlier. I don't know. Either way, Baz has called it right. We called it wrong. Done a cracking job to take an 8.2 second lead over Bo, which I thought would be nearly 20, actually. So not too bad overall. Bo and Stoner will be on 1 lap younger intermediates, but with what, 24 laps to go, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference.
Well, I think we're definitely going to be looking at a 1-2 from Ferrari, but I also believe that we're going to see a firm third place from Stoner on that podium and a championship win in that instance.
Yeah, I think it's looking more and more likely now. So this is Stoner's. He's got a 44-second gap over Gamble. Bo at the moment actually ghosted for some reason. Hopefully he'll be... Yep, he's all right. Yeah, Gamble's obviously got a 44-second gap at the moment. The only difference that we've got really now is if Stoner for whatever reason gets any damage and has to come in again. If he does have to come in again, it'll be something like 24 seconds on Gamble. So basically Stoner can afford 2 mistakes really before he ends up possibly losing out on the championship. So it's looking very good for him.
And a great job here from John as well, because John's now moved back up and he's into 5th place with those changes.
He will be the fastest as well. Brilliant.
This has been a great race from John overall. I really think he's done very, very well.
Yeah, he started P4, but considering obviously the massive mistakes that came out which forced him to pit in early, he's benefited. He came in early off those mediums onto a different tyre compound, and for sure he's benefiting from that. He may be 2 seconds behind Gamble on the set of intermediates, but for sure he will take forward a moral victory in him taking the fastest lap of the race. He's not, it's someone you don't see up there regularly. 1:12.729 is the fastest lap. We're in intermediate weather conditions now. It won't be beaten. Cracking job from the Red Bull driver.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Slacky for Renault, he's in 6th place. Nicky holding out in 7th place. And he's still... Oh, he has changed that front wing, of course, because he went onto a set of intermediates.
Yeah, he needed to.
Jerome for Mercedes is in 8th place. Peter for Williams is in 9th. Grimm for Haas is in 10. Phenomenon for Sauber is 11. Elfren, he's been out of this race for quite a while. Clearly he dropped out, but his AI is still running. Martin DNF, as Miguel as well DNF. So we're running with Bass. He's our race leader for Ferrari. We're on lap 48 of 71. Start again. We're about 2/3 of the way through this 2017 F1 tonight. Brazil Grand Prix Interlagos, the last but one of season 3. And we're looking pretty much at this moment in time for a 1-2 from Ferrari. Bass 1, Bo 2. And the 3rd place of Stoner. We've still got a while to go. We've got 22 laps, so anything could happen. And it normally does. But at this moment in time, Stoner is looking pretty safe for taking that championship of Season 3 for F1 tonight. 2017.
Big shout out.
Comfortably sitting in 3rd place there.
big shout out to the top three, by the way, in the form of the two Ferraris and Stoner, who have managed to basically stick at their own pace in front of the rest of the pack with Gamble. Although, yeah, starting P8, as we all predicted, he would race through the pack. Yeah, maybe too aggressively, but for sure he's managed to deservedly get himself up into the top 5 by starting P8 with a, let's be honest, a fairly slow lap time than what he could usually do. So great racing from him regardless. And John F1 tonight, I mean, what can we say? A fantastic recovery drive from him, fastest lap of the race, and also getting onto those set of intermediate tyres from P and now in P5 with Slacky 13 seconds behind him. I think if Gamble messes up anywhere, John can get back the position that he started, and I think P4 is not. I think, to be fair, with his battle and with his battle through the pack and with him needing to get all the way through the pack, I think 4th place is more than, you know, well, it's not enough really, because I think he deserves far more.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think he's put in an absolutely fantastic race. He suffered earlier on, unfortunately, but he's recouped, he's come back, and you know, it was unfortunate he had that, it was a collision, I can't remember who it was that he had the collision with now. But
yeah, I think it was a collision with Baz, wasn't it, at the start on lap 1? He was starting P4,
yeah,
and he lost some of his front wing.
Right in lap 1, yeah. So he's done well to recover from that. He's in 5th place, and you know, Gamble, yeah, he's put together a great race. When these guys concentrate, when the McLaren drivers concentrate, and they've got a clear field ahead of them, I think they drive supremely well. When they're under pressure or they're looking to apply pressure to other drivers, I think they get a bit of a red rag to a bull, and they can sometimes get a little bit too aggressive. We saw Gamble earlier on completely close the door on Nicky, and really, you know, wasn't very pleasant in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, I describe it as unacceptable.
Yeah, absolutely, and let's see how they do. They can be unpredictable, but certainly he's in 4th place as it stands at this moment in time.
Another shout out, by the way. Another shout out, by the way, to Peter F1 tonight in the Williams at the moment. He's 7 seconds behind Jerome in the Mercedes in 8th, but he's 5 positions up when he started from the back of the grid in P14, and will be finishing in the top 10 with points on the board. So great drive from him as well.
Indeed, Williams. They haven't had a great season this year. Williams. Pretty much mirroring their real world
counterparts,
namesakes,
for sure.
Unfortunately. So Williams on F1 tonight, not having the best of seasons as in real world F1. But yeah, good shout from Peter. He's in the points, and they're certainly valuable points, and I think he'll be happy to take those this evening. Grim, well, Grim, obviously he's recently come into Haas. It's only, I think, his 3rd race or 4th race with Haas, and he's still very much coming to terms with it. Was formerly with Red Bull. Indeed, there was a swap between Grim and John, so those drivers have had a bit of a settling in period in this season 3, but I think both, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next season. I believe, from what my understanding, that we will be looking to go into 2018 in August. So we'll probably have a break, but that is yet to be confirmed, and I'll be able to confirm that next week at Abu Dhabi as to what's going to be happening. But I would suspect that's what we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, it's going to be a shame we're going to be missing out some great drivers who are obviously taking that break throughout the summer until we get back to F1 2018 in the form of Stoner, Gamble, and I'm sure Savage as well, and of course the 2 Ferraris in Bo and Baz, and the majority of the drivers as well at F1 tonight. So it's going to be a greatly missed league while we're on that sort of summer break.
Indeed, but hopefully what we're looking to do is make some improvements to the broadcast itself, maybe introducing some new features. So again, do stay in tune, do keep watching the YouTube channel, and we'll be looking to post up some updates undoubtedly between the end of this season 3 and the start of season 1 for 2018, so do please keep a lookout for that. We are running with Bass. This is lap 52 of 71, 19 laps to go. The rain is still coming, and my question now is, wets, because Bass is coming into the pits, and I think we're going on to wets, and we've already seen John, he's pitted, gone on to wets, so's Jerome.
We didn't take that into consideration. We didn't take that into consideration. Obviously, I did say earlier, didn't I, when it comes down, it does pour. When it rains, it pours into Largos. It always has been. And at the moment, Stoner and Baz both into the pits. Just taking a quick look at the moment, and there are wet tyres going on onto Baz's car.
Still out there, but he's sliding. Stoner's into the pits as well. He's going on to a set of wets. So Bo's currently our race leader. He is on a set of intermediates, but he's clearly having traction problems with those.
The question
so
is,
I would expect him to be coming in.
The question is as well, obviously, will the rain period end? Because obviously we don't know. I mean, we're assuming that the heavy wet rain conditions are to stay. We may end up going from heavy rain back to light rain, and if that's the case, the intermediate tyres are the better tyre to stay on. So, in the end, you know, Bo could end up taking a big advantage for this race specifically, but naturally it won't affect Baz, maybe not Stoner. It just depends whether Gamble comes in as well, because he's stayed out on the intermediates as well.
Well, Gamble stayed out. I mean, there is clearly a racing line where you can see a drier part of the track, but that said, this rain is absolutely chucking it down. I don't think it's going to go.
It's fairly in the middle at the moment for whether it still enters or wets at the moment. I think obviously Baz and Stone have gone into the wets, you know, to make sure if the heavy rain does stay, they've definitely got the right tyre. But if we are due light rain very soon, i.e. this rain starts to settle down, which means Brazil is very unlikely, but if it does, then the intermediate tyres are the best call. And let's be honest, if Baz and Stoner have to pit again, and Gamble and Slacky are both still on the same intermediates, that's more time taken out on Stoner's lead in the chase for the title. So just keep it light, because the wet tyres may not be the right call.
Slacky here. No, I don't think so, because John's on a set of wets, and he is closing down on the back of Slacky like a bad rash as they're coming out of turn 9. Approaching turn 10, he's all over the back of him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And I'm going to call this. I'm going to call Gamble.
Ooh, this is looking DNFing. Wetter and wetter. Oh, Gamble DNFing.
I am going to call Gamble DNFing by staying on these intermediates. I'm sticking my neck out here, but I think he will.
There must be a reason why Bo is staying out on these intermediates. I mean, John's just managed to get around Slacky because he's gone into the pit. Slacky's gone into the pits on a set of wets. Bo, will he come in? We'll have to see. No, he's not coming.
I just think that Bo manages the wet conditions in a better way.
I did get, and yeah, you've got to bear in mind as well. Obviously, Gamble obviously has a lower downforce setup as well, doesn't he? So I can see you're thinking in that, but there must be a reason why various drivers have decided to stay on the inters. Perhaps they think that the conditions are meant to settle down. For sure, the intermediate tyres are definitely going to have to. You're going to have to stick on the racing line. Do not go off the racing line, otherwise you're slipping and sliding.
But saying that, John has taken that 5th place from Slacky, and he's on a set of wets.
Yeah, Slacky's only just coming to the
pits. Slacky has pitted, I do know that, but he took him before that.
Yeah.
So
just taking a look at the moment. Gamble's still on the intermediates. I'll keep an eye out, see if he goes into the pits, but he's on lead, so he is trying to keep traction.
He's going to DNF, I'll guarantee it.
Wow.
I'd put money on it.
No, he's still staying on. He's a brave man.
I'm going to put money on it.
He's losing buckets of time on Stoner, but he'll regain all that time if Stoner stays on the wets, and it does lighten up, because I'm not being funny. It doesn't... Is it just me that thinks it doesn't look heavy? It doesn't look heavy anymore.
It is chucking it down, and that track is progressively getting wetter. Yes, you do have a racing line, which is okay for the intermediates, but that is rapidly diminishing.
I still think it's very borderline at the moment. I do think it's wet weather tyres now, but Bo is now into the pits on a set of wet tyres as well. But I'm just looking at the conditions, and I'll be honest with you, through Sector 2 and 3 actually it does look pretty bad, but in Sector 1 it's quite bright and it doesn't look too bad. You've just got to make sure you keep your car firmly planted on the racing line. Actually, Stoner's managed to get around Bo, who's now exiting the pits, so Stoner now into 2nd place.
Yep, he has. Stoner takes second place from Bo. Bo coming out just behind him as they're approaching turn 4 now. Gamble still on those intermediates. He's coming round the final but one turn. Is he going to go into the pits? No, he's staying out. Yeah, go. So here we have it. Gamble's just coming round the centre S now into turn 3. He's still on that set of intermediates. The only other driver on a set of intermediates is Peter, and he's still out there racing. Not surprised. Peter is very, very good in the wet, and the wet conditions certainly suit him. But maybe I am sticking my neck out here with Gamble, but I just think he's taking too big a risk. Everyone else is on a set of mediums, a set of wets now. Oh, and Gamble goes off track there, cuts the corner completely. I think that was turn 6. Yep. And he's coming around turn 9 now, and he is sliding all over the place. If he doesn't come in for a set of wets now, I'd be very, very surprised. Bass is our race leader still. He's in P1. Stoner 10 seconds behind him. Bo is only 3 seconds off the back of Stoner. Gamble's in 4th place, but he's 42 seconds behind those front 3 as he comes round now into the final turn, and he's coming into the pits. And he's going on to a set of wets, undoubtedly. Now, John, this releases John now. Fantastic move. John will now take P4 from Gamble, and he's already on that set of wets. So, no problem at all. Slacky won't be able to catch up. So, Gamble will stick with 5th place. Slappy will stay with 6. But John has definitely come out advantageous here. Oh, goes off the track there, turn 3. But John takes his P4 back again, so he's back where he was. And let's have a quick look at the position changes here. So Bass started in 3rd, he's now up to 1st. Stoner maintains his 2nd place. Bo started 1st, he's down to 3rd, he's lost 2 places. John back to his 4th place where he was on the start of the grid. Gamble, he's moved up 3 places, he was in 8th, he's now in 5th. Slacky, he's dropped 1 from 5th to 6th. Nicky, he's moved up 3 places, started in 10 up to 7. Then we've got Jerome for Mercedes, he's dropped 1 place, was in 7th down to 8th. Oh, we've seen a change here, and oh, what's happened? Oh my god, has somebody crashed out? Bo's left the track. Bo lost it on the track. John's now moved up into 3rd place. Oh my goodness, what happened there? So Bo looks like, I think he must have lost it on turn 3, loses it. He's got back onto the track, but he's in 6th place. That's now put John into 3rd place. Fantastic. Gamble, he's now moved up into 4th respectively. What a great move. Well, not so great obviously, unfortunately for Bo, but great fortune there for John, Gamble and Slacky, because they all moved up a place. We'll stick with this position change because we know everybody's on the wets now, so I'm just going to stick with that just to see how things move. So John has moved up into 3rd place. Oh, he's going to be a very happy bunny. We've only got 12 laps to go now, so this rain doesn't look like it's going to be stopping, so I expect to see this until the end of the race. But what a great result. Oh, and John closing in there on the back of Jerome, one of the back markers. He'll be overtaking, he'll be lapping him effectively. Jerome, blue flag, lets him through. So turn 12 now. And even in this wet, you can see that this track is very slippery. Bearing in mind, these cars now have burnt off most of their fuel. So they're a good, I would think, probably 80 or so kilos light of the start of this race, and that clearly has an effect on their grip factor as well. So there we have it. Bass for Ferrari is in first place. Stoner is in second, and if he maintains that place, he will take the championship. And I think that's probably what he's looking at, and that's what he's thinking of. He's not too interested, he's not too worried about taking the win. He is certainly interested in taking the championship. John moved up to third place for Red Bull, so great result here for John if he maintains this place. Gamble, he's up to fourth place, and John's got a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. We've seen him going off there, turn 4, 5. Gamble, he's in fourth place. Slacky for Renault, he's taking some valuable points home as well. He started in fifth, and he's back into fifth as well. So he'll be happy with that. Bo is going to be absolutely livid. He was set for a podium finish. Clearly lost it. I'm pretty sure it was turn 3. And he's dropped right back into 6th place. He's got a lot of ground to make up. And there's no way I think he's going to be able to do that. He's going to have to make up about a minute and 20 seconds just to get back to where he was. And I can't see that happening. Sorry, not a minute and 20 seconds. I do apologise. He's got to make up at least 20 seconds to get back. So he's got 10 laps to do it in. But in these wet weather conditions, I think it's a tall order. Nicky for Force India. He's 7th place. He's going to be happy with that. He started in 10th. Clearly, you want to move up a bit more. But again, due to these conditions, I can't see that moving too much. Then we've got Jerome for Mercedes. He's in P8. He's dropped down 1 place. Grim for Haas. He's in P9. He's done well. He jumped up 4 places, as did Peter for Williams. Phenomenon, well, he's where he was. He's in 11th place. Elfren, he's out. Martin and Miguel are DNF. So we're with Bass as he's coming round lap 61. Only 10 laps to go. And he's looking pretty comfortable there as he comes round. Turn 11 to 12 now. And this rain doesn't look like it's going to ease up. It is still absolutely bucketing down. So I think we're pretty much set to see this until the end of the race. But let's keep an eye on it, see what happens. Let's watch Bass as he comes through this Senna S now in these incredibly tricky conditions. But nicely done. Goes a little bit wide there. And that's clearly where the issue is in these wet conditions. Is approaching that turn 3 as you're coming out of turn 2. Because the way this track lies, the groundwater, there is no racing line effectively and no grip. So there we have it. Everybody now, I'm pretty sure, is on a set of wets. Oh no, they're not. Jerome is still on a set of intermediates, as is Peter. Now I did say earlier Peter's a bit of an expert when it comes to wet weather conditions. I've always seen him perform exceptionally well in wet weather conditions, and it suits his style of driving. So he's staying with those intermediates. He clearly feels comfortable with them. Jerome likewise, although to be fair, I don't know if he's doing himself any favours there. He's certainly sticking to the racing line, but watch him round turn 10 there. And you can hear him feathering that gas, really playing with the traction and the power he's putting down onto that road to make sure he doesn't lose that back end. Fair play to him. It's not easy, and especially on that set of intermediates, but he's not coming in. He seems quite comfortable on those. Let's watch him through this Senna S. And I'm just watching Jerome here in these wet conditions, and it's clearly very tricky out of that turn 2 into turn 3. we saw Bo lost it earlier and he dropped 3 places. It's a tricky little turn, that, isn't it, in wet conditions?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just taking a quick look at the moment, and obviously we've seen some intermediate weather tyres still on a few of the cars. Very interesting.
Yeah, Jerome and Peter. Jerome and Peter still running on the intermediate. I mean, Peter, I'm not too surprised about because Peter is a bit of a wizard when it comes to wet weather conditions.
But the thing is that I think one thing to take into consideration is that although it is very much faster to be on the wet weather tyres at the moment, the intermediate tyres aren't actually a bad selection of tyres. So this is what makes me think, are they taking risks for the next sort of, what, 7-ish laps maybe, just to get to the end of the race? Or are we expecting a very, very final sort of light rain conditions station where the wet weather tyres will be overheating far too much to a point where drivers may need to swap onto intermediate tyres, because in which case we may end up seeing a few other drivers sort of getting themselves through the rankings. Obviously I've just been a bit away for the moment because I had a call come through. What happened to Bo? He's down in 6th position.
Yeah, I didn't actually catch it, but I believe that Bo lost it at turn 3, went off the track, and that allowed John and Gamble to push through.
Oh, that's
so
terrible.
He's dropped back into 6th place, and it's a real shame.
Yeah, it's a real shame, but I think one thing that is Bo's loss is certainly John's gain, because John had a really, really poor start after what happened, and to get into P3, and you know, I said it, didn't I? I said, this guy's been driving like an absolute angel, he's been driving brilliantly, he's been an absolute beast behind the wheel, and he's now potentially got a podium behind him with, what, a 3-second gap separating him and Gamble. Gamble currently overtaking Peter on the intermediate tyres as a back marker. It's potentially John's podium, this. That's fantastic for him.
I totally agree. I think John's put in a great race, and to see him get the opportunity to get onto that podium, I think is absolutely superb. I think he thoroughly deserves it. Yes, yeah, okay, really it was down to an error made by the Ferrari driver of Bo, but I think it's a well-deserved podium place. You know, we've only got 6 laps to go. Hopefully nothing will happen, but I think it's well-deserved.
Yeah, absolutely well-deserved. It's a shame, it's obviously in the contrast, it's obviously a shame that we're seeing Bo essentially going out of the World Championship with essentially a whimper. 6th position is far from, you know, where we expect him to be up there, and Baz, obviously, his poor spell led him to losing 2nd place and then put 1st for a long time in the 1st place. So Stoner, with what, 6 laps, is now 6 laps away from becoming the world champion of season 3 of F1 tonight. Anything could happen. Wet weather conditions mean it could be anything, but you've still got to take into consideration the fact that John F1 tonight he's drove magnificently. He's had a bit of an incident at turn 1. He's done a fantastic recovery drive, and he's now himself only 6 laps away from getting 3rd place, which, considering his recent switch as well, because he switched, didn't he, with Grim, didn't he, for the Haas seat and the Red Bull seat, to settle into Red Bull and just get straight out there.
He's only been with Red Bull for about 4 or 5 races.
Yeah.
And yeah, I absolutely agree. He's done a great race. He's done a solid race. He hasn't, I wouldn't say he hasn't done anything exceptional, but he's done overall a very solid race.
It's just a solid race, all it was. This is what I was saying about John, is that he's very much someone who manages the race well. If something bad happens, he manages it and he gets himself back into the race in a very solid way. He's a 2.5 seconds in front of Gamble, who's gaining tons of time on him at the moment. I've got to add that here. Now, Gamble, this race, has been noted to make some very, very silly moves, especially in the dry. I hope that he's not going to try, because considering that he started 8th, to finish 3rd for him, okay, it's a good race for him, but I really, really hope he doesn't start being aggressive, especially in these conditions, because he could seriously have a detrimental effect, not just to John's race, but his own if he crashes. Because in the wet conditions, it could be harmful.
Well, again, I'm concurring with your what you're saying there. I mean, I can see that Gamble is clearly zoning in here on John, and he can see that podium. My concern is that he just goes over the top with it and gets a bit too aggressive, but you know, time will tell. We've got 5 laps to go. Clearly Gamble is going to be looking to make that move. Let's see what happens. I think that's all I can say, really.
plenty of laps to go. I mean, at the end of the day, it's wet weather conditions at Interlagos. It's only, what, 4 laps? There's there's 5 tenths, 3 tenths now separating the drivers. Anything could happen in this sort of latter half of the race in these wet conditions. I'm just hoping Gamble is going to learn from his lesson now and not be aggressive, especially in these wet conditions, because if he does and causes an accident, well, the stewards are going to have to penalise him heavily, that's for sure.
I totally agree. I totally agree. But going on past form, I can't see it being a sweet. Let's hope I'm wrong. I really do truly hope that I'm wrong. But I'm just, yeah, I'm sitting here biting my lip, to be quite honest with you.
Commentators, isn't it? That's what we have to do here. We are possibly going for an overtake into the main straight here. Let's see what happens. Phenomenon having to go massively wide to avoid any accident.
Oh, look at this, and he's right over the back. He's going to try and make the move stick before he gets to turn 1, and if he does, fair play. But look at this is wheel-to-wheel action here as they're going through. Look at him sliding on. Yeah. Oh, and John goes right off track there. Right wide on turn 3. And coming into turn 4 now, and Gamble is definitely applying the pressure here.
Oh, he's alright for now. He's just going to have to be a bit more careful. John is trying not to force mistakes like that too quick. He's far too quick into corners. He's going to lose traction and time. Don't get shook up.
I think he's getting twitchy because he knows Gamble, and he knows that he's going to... Gamble is more likely to make a late dive, late break move, and I think John is fully aware of that.
There he is. He's going to have inside. He's going to have the inside going into 11.
But he can't make it.
He will have the inside
I don't think he's going to make it stick because you've got turn 11 there.
Yeah.
He can't make it stick, and this is what John is expecting from him, is a late break move.
Great turn from Gamble, to be fair, going into Junshao. I think he's going to be all right. Will he have the traction? Possibly. Will he have the slipstream? Definitely.
And again, I think Gamble's, if he can get a little bit closer, I think he's going to be looking to make that move through the centre S. And this is where, but John's got it, no, I think John's got it tight now. He's got it defended well. Don't put down too much power, and then you won't go off on turn 3, which is what he did on the previous lap. He just laid down too much power.
Screaming down my microphone at the moment as I realise my mic's on mute, because he's going to have a less traction going out of 2, which means this will happen.
Oh, here he comes! Oh, look at this, and he does it.
I told you. Now, I was trying to scream that microphone, I was going to like, because he lost a lot of traction going into 2, and John has cost himself pretty much that 3rd place position. I know Gamble has had a good race in the form of, you know, trying to get back up there.
Fair play to Gamble. Fair play to Gamble. That was a good overtake move. You know, credit where credit is due. That was a sweet move that he played there. I think he just makes people nervous.
Well, I don't think it's... I kind of agree with that. I can concur, but I think these drivers are out there because they are competitively esports. They're competitive esports drivers. If they get shook up easily by drivers, then, you know, they're not in the correct field of gaming, that's for sure. I'm just taking a look at John. I definitely agree. I think he was definitely a bit shook up going in, you know, when the first attempt at an overtake was happening, because he lost the traction going through the top of the hill. But I think, like I said, you know, penalties for time, you know, cutting corners may come into equation. If Gamble has any, John may still keep 3rd place. He just needs to keep the pace on Gamble and not lose time. He's got 2 laps to do it.
I'm not too sure, actually, whether Gamble does have any other. I don't know if you want to check with the race director.
Yeah, I'll take a quick look.
I don't think Gamble has. I know John definitely has a 3-second time penalty, but I'm not too sure about Gamble. So let's have a look at that, because that would obviously come into play here and could switch things around. So if John were to stay within that 3-second gap and there were penalties to be applied, he would still take that podium place.
You're absolutely right. John does have a 3-second, at least a 3-second time penalty. He has 3 there, and he has 6 seconds. And I'm taking
Gamble
a look
has
now.
6.
And Gamble has got 3. John has got 6. Just taking a quick look at the moment if Gamble has any more than the 3. Drum roll, please. No, fortunately he's only got the 3 seconds. So Gamble's got 3 seconds, and it looks like John has got 6. So Gamble needs to basically cut every corner galore.
In that instance, to be fair, in that instance, Gamble would have taken the podium, anyway. But fair play to Gamble. You know, I'll humbly eat my words, and I will freely admit that yes, absolutely, he did a great move there, and it was a good move, solid move, and he deserves that 3rd place, certainly on that move.
Yeah, absolutely. John obviously made a mistake into turn
in 4th place. He will stick to his start of 4th, but either way, he's put in a solid race, so respect to him. Gamble will be taking, as it stands at this moment in time, the 3rd place, and here we come now with Bass. And it's come round so damn quick. We're on lap 71 after all that. And Bass will be coming round as he comes round to turn 11 now. Dropping down towards turn 12. And up, rather down and up. Up again, turn 13. Into 14. 15. And Bass will take the 2017 F1 Tonight Season 3 Interlagos Grand Prix as the winner. Stoner will come in 2nd, but more importantly, Stoner is the F1 Tonight 2017 Season 3 champion. He takes the championship. What a great race. Gamble, well, thoroughly deserved. He did a great move there. He's done a solid race. Questionable moves, well, more than questionable, on closing the door on Nicky earlier on. But he takes that podium place for 3rd for McLaren and those valuable points. John, F1 for Red Bull, will take 4th place. Bo for Ferrari, disappointingly, and you can see he's already on AI, will take 5th place. Slacky for Renault as he ploughs into the back of Stoner. I think it's Stoner, it might be Grim.
Interesting to see. Interesting to see at the moment, for some reason with Slacky. If on my screen it says here that he's 72 minutes behind.
Yes, it does on mine as well. Clearly an error. Nicky for Force India, solid race from Nicky. He takes 7th place. And, well, what a race it has been. Certainly mixed it up. The conditions, wet weather conditions, could have been a lot worse, but our drivers, clearly, certainly our front runners, calculated that into their strategy, and they did a great job. So there you have it. Fantastic job there. Bass for Ferrari takes the podium, 1st place. Stoner for Haas takes 2nd, but more importantly, the Drivers' Championship, and 3rd is Gamble for McLaren. We'll run through the rest of the field as soon as they come up. But what a great race. Next week we have Abu Dhabi, and I hope you look forward to joining us there. And there you have it. John takes 4th place. Bo takes 5th place. Slacky for Renault takes 6. Nicky for Force India takes 7. Jerome for Mercedes takes 8. Grim for Haas takes 9. Peter for Williams takes 10. Phenomenon for Sauber takes 11. And the other 3 drivers were DNFs. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week for the finale of our 2017 F1 Tonight Championship. We hope you've enjoyed it. We certainly have. We'll see you next week. Thank you and good night.